listening to a Twitter Spaces call that happened last night. I'll try to enlighten you on how delusional these people are, but wish me luck on this. I haven't really slept because I've been trying to put it all together. And then, of course, I'm doing my thing. Let's go. This is
Oh man.
Bed
Okay.
Bath and
I
Beyond
couldn't I couldn't
Delusionals.
listen to the music go round and round again. It's like starting to feel a little bit like Hell's Waiting Room there. Anybody wants to come up and speak, please do. This is not intended to be a monologue of me just hanging out on my back deck. I figured I'd just fire up a quick space and talk to the homies before I have to go to work. So if you want to come up and speak, I would love to talk to you. Even if you have nothing to say, I'm sure we can find some things to talk about. There's no agenda for this space. I honestly just like hanging out with you guys. So yeah, somebody wants to come up and talk, please do. Otherwise, it's just going to be me rambling, and I don't really want to do that. So I see Sean down there. I see Alchemist. Alchemist, I hope you're doing well. Sorry to hear about all the woes that you've had going on. I see Scott down there. See some new faces. Porter, I see you down there. Yeah, so this is gonna get really weird really quick. I see Krill in the house. Krill, please come save me from myself if you are able to. I know there's lots of people at work and what have you, but man, things are just gonna get weird up here. They're gonna get really weird. If I have to sit up here talking to myself. John, I see the thumbs up down there. Somebody's gonna come save me. I just know it any second now. Maybe the rambling's not better than the music. Maybe I should have kept the music on.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Who knows? But there is big stuff happening right now. It's got my tits personally jacked. I there's just this confluence of events that is getting me just absolutely psyched. And I spent a little bit of time this morning kind of thinking about the journey a bit. And man, I told a friend of mine, I can't believe we're still here. I really can't, but we are, and we're out here and we're doing it, and it's crazy to go to X every day and see the same faces, the same people that are kind of stuck in this waiting room, and we're all just pushing, and now it's like there's all these cool things that are happening. I remember when Pulte brought the boys down for ice cream at his office. This was years ago now. It feels like a different lifetime.
You're so excited
And
about Pulte?
I was thinking about too, it's just like, he's been close with Trump, and then to see him and in his position, seeing what he is doing, that is just wild. Krill, welcome to the show. Thank you, brother. Oh, good to see you, man. But
What's up,
yeah, and it's like
Sanders?
all this stuff. What's up, brother? All this shit with the mortgage fraud and everything, man. Especially how it relates to the Fed. I mean, my tits are just jacked. I don't know how you're doing. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming up. Thanks for saving me from myself up here.
Yeah, I heard you throwing some bait in there, so I grabbed onto the line. Um,
Yeah, good, good.
yeah, I really just I'm driving right now, so if I'm spotty in and out, then it's your
You sound
fault.
great.
Um,
Heard that. My bad.
recently, I don't know about you. I think from what I've heard from you in the spaces that you've been in, you're in a similar place, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like internally, I'm transitioning to like post victory wealth preservation, wealth management, continuing to navigate the community to find various ventures to get involved with. Um, and there's a certain kind of gratitude that's kicked in for the relationships I've built along the way and the people. Some people I've spoken with directly, some people I've just witnessed from afar. It really is an extraordinary group of people that have coalesced around this thing. I think for a reason, it takes a certain type of mindset to follow this, down this rabbit hole. So I really, at this point, a lot of big picture gratitude, and at a certain point, my eye has been off the ball a little bit on the dockets and the minutia of the play for that reason. However, I had a long conversation with
Yep.
Salvatore the other night, and it just reminded me of a lot of the things. And I know they're different factions with it, but I don't know. I try to stay down the middle with everybody, and it just reminded me of the enormity of the play and what may be happening behind the scenes. When I say may be happening, I mean what may be happening is kind of the dark web infrastructure of a completely new financial system being built under the camouflage of a run-of-the-mill Chapter 11 bankruptcy, or what appears to be from the naked eye. And
So the guy talking is named Krill, okay? Krill is the guy who was the executive producer of this new movie that they were trying to push out. If you guys remember, he's the scriptwriter. These guys are all full of shit, okay? And I don't even know. They speak so vague. There's no specifics. This is so. Oh, here we go. This journey. I'm gonna let you hear it all. This journey. Oh, look at the things that are happening. It's all about Bed Bath and Beyond.
Digging he has done for us, and so we don't really have to. But yeah, once the HBC deal came out, I kind of checked out. I was like, this is proof positive that we won. And then since then, it's just been this ride of absolute ups and downs. And like we've all gone through periods of doubt. We've gone through periods of like heavy emotions, and some of that at times is gratitude. But some of that at times has been despair as well. And it's just cool to be able to reflect on the journey and just be able to appreciate, like with gratitude, all of those moments of despair, because ultimately, like we've all had these bumps in the roads. We've had unexpected things happen. I mean, a lot happens over the course of 3 years, and this to have to retain focus on anything for 3 years, especially something that has like in many cases stripped your savings away from you, and forced you into this like situation where you're having to wait with a bunch of strangers, and there's all these outside forces, and it's like hard to know who to trust, and like on and on and on. There's all this noise around the subject. It's grueling, but like the name of the company is DK Butterfly, and you know I made a post the other day saying something similar to this, and it's like butterflies, when they are transitioning, they're quite literally liquefied. Like they go in there and they are liquefied, but eventually they emerge. And there's lots of metaphors you can make with the butterfly analogy, and how it relates to this play. But
oh,
man, I just got this gut
what a weird
feeling,
fucking name to name the shell. The one
right?
insect that reemerges from a cocoon. They could have picked
Totally, dude. And
anything.
you've got like butterfly transactions, and people could argue like it's that.
Right.
But like, if you dig into the
This is the
metaphors,
craziest
you
shit
can
I have
actually
ever heard. That's why I'm listening.
cue stuff over here.
Oh my god.
Multiple meanings do exist, and when you look at this, I think that this whole play has been structured with intention from day one, and they knew how brutal the wait was going to be. And I think that that ultimately is part of the plan, because like it has steeled us as like, how much stronger are you? How much stronger are you, the listener, like today? And steeled, like how much more resilient are you? And more like shrewd in like your ability to catch the bullshit and like think for yourself, and use logic over emotions than you were 3 years ago. Like I'm a different person, man.
Yeah, I would agree. I was looking at my feed yesterday, and I'm sure everybody, I don't know how
Yeah,
many
he's a different
people
person.
everyone
He's
follows, if
broke.
it's solely Bed Bath people, but the 3 years into this play, minimum 3 years, the number of Bed Bath posts filling up my feed the last day or two have been extraordinary. And it feels like, there's kind of like an arc to every story. There's a crescendo moment to every orchestra.
Oh, really?
That's what it feels like as far as the community is concerned. I'm not talking about what's going on behind the scenes, but the hyper focus on the play at this moment, and this is from a group that has stayed focused for 3 years. From my vantage point, and this is one prism through which I'm seeing information, everybody has their own, but from my vantage point, feels like the beginning of a crescendo arc of the story. And I'm sure we all have our sources of information from various places that are validating certain ideas and concepts. Those are all important.
Like, what the hell's he
So
talking
taken
about?
together, yeah, I think managing emotions is the place that we should be right now. Thankfully,
Totally.
we haven't had to make a decision on the play. Imagine we had to. Imagine the stock was trading
Make
this
a
entire
decision.
time. How unbelievably anxiety inducing that would be. If it ran to
It'd
66,
be horrific, dude.
some people would want to
I
sell.
can't even imagine, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
A lot of us wouldn't have made it. I
was a
don't know if
godsend.
I could have
Cancellation was a
withstood.
godsend. At the time, it was
100%,
bizarre,
dude.
Cancellation.
and hard to process. But
Oh my god.
hindsight being 2020, thank God for that.
I don't understand.
You know, full disclosure, when this thing went into Chapter 11 shortly after Sukov came out with that bizarre eToro interview, I mean, I had poured $300,000 into BetBet.
300,000.
And I watched that diminish overnight at a very difficult time in my life, and it was a bitter pill to swallow. I'm sure everybody has their own stories here. Just fascinating that today this community is as strong, if not stronger, around a delisted stock. It's absolutely fascinating. The amount of people that have come into the play and out of the play, and we think about this a lot from. Remember when Big Boy from Outkast came in the community? I mean, just the level of bizarre celebrity. At some point, and we were literally yelling at him for like forum shifting. So
yeah, dude. I was actually thinking about that this morning, oddly enough.
You were thinking about Big Boy?
Yeah, it's been I really am looking big
Outkast?
picture a lot lately, and sometimes I get pulled back into, like I said, the minutia of the day-to-day docket stuff. But big picture, it has been something that
they all really, talk the same
really,
too.
I guess what I'm imploring everybody, and myself included, is take a moment to like really embrace where you're at right now, and how
the minutia. You always have to hear that shit.
3 years prior to this, none of us could have imagined it because nothing like it ever existed. And nothing I like. So therefore, none of us could have experienced anything quite like this, and just really be grateful for the relationships you've built along the way. I'm sure everybody.
Well, that's what we gotta be thankful for. Not for the money we lost, but for the relationships we built along the way.
And because we're going to need to lead the people who stay close to the community and stay close to each other and foster cooperation are the ones who are going to succeed. And the people who generally don't are going to have a lot harder time.
What the hell are they talking about?
Will succeed, but a lot of money. I've come into money at period times in my life, and it was not all sunshine and rainbows. It a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress comes with it initially.
There you go.
A lot of fear, a lot
hoping
of
with what's not going to happen.
Confusion. A lot of people start looking at it as an ATM. Envy.
You didn't want the money anyway, guys.
Because envy comes at you hard. Envy comes at you like, I'm going to take this from you because I deserve it and you don't. Yeah. And yeah, so I highly recommend everybody just maintain where you're at right now emotionally and manage emotions and manage relationships now as we move into a post-victory scenario.
Yeah, man. Very well said. I think that this is the time to be building like strong personal foundations, which is essentially what you're saying here.
Are these guys related to
once
Michael?
It happens, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And we don't know exactly the timing. We don't know exactly the form it's going to take. We don't know who's going to press the button. And we don't know what new forces, once this is all said and done, are going to start coming at us, right? Because right now we're this kind of like quiet little community that is, a few thousand people strong. And, over the years, we have built this conviction because we've been locked in this room and we've been forced to do this insane level of due diligence. But not only that, we're just trusting our intuition, which is what brought so many of us here to begin with. It's like looking at who Ryan Cohen is, looking at the possibility of ICANN being involved and who he is and what he stands for, along with the moves that we've seen with the companies, whether it be quarter to quarter profitability or, the slimming of things up in order to more streamline the business and move it to more of a Web3 model. I mean, you could go on and on for days. But man, I it's hard to think about what shape this is going to take next. I mean, the journey has already been so wild, and I feel like we're all just kind of strapped into this epic ride. And like, we know it's epic, but we don't, like, it's hard to see at times how epic it really is. We had shepherds come kind of throughout the process, and you mentioned Big Boy popping in, and it's like, I think I remember one of the times it was like, I can't remember what the dude's name was. What was the guy? it's just slipping my mind right now. But one of the things he said was like, I'm trying to help keep this community together, and then he just disappeared. Um, really, really interesting
MKK?
stuff. What's up, Halka?
Hey,
Some random
I was
idiot.
saying, were you talking about MKK?
Yeah,
Midnight
yeah.
Yeah,
Kitty. Thank you so much. Thank you.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, so he just popped in for a little bit, and
These
I know
Twitter
he
Spaces
ruffles some
calls are
feathers, and
unbelievable.
people love him or hate him. But yeah, then having Big Boy pop in, it's like, these are just celebrities. Like, I don't think anybody should be engaging in hero worship or celebrity worship. I think everybody
Oh
should be
no,
judged
how are they
ultimately
acting about
on
Pulte?
their fruits. But
Hero
people
worship.
coming in like that, none of this stuff just happens. And I don't know, it feels like we are on a once ever journey that is about to like really shift the landscape in a big way. And I think that the distilling down of ourselves and getting to know ourselves and having to go through these struggles was such a critical piece of the puzzle. Because we've talked a lot about in the past, like if we had all gotten rich in 2021, like what the world would look like, what our lives would look like. And it's like, I can say with some degree of certainty, I probably would have used that money partially to destroy myself. I wasn't mature enough. I was not in a good headspace. Um, and I would have focused on Lambos. You know what I mean? And
Lambo.
instead of things that actually are going to bring happiness long term. So yeah, it's an epic journey, and to see all the stuff with like the ICANN S3 and how that just happens to add up to the amount of debt that the estate holds. And you got the stuff with Marcus Lemonis, again, love him or hate him, but the BBBY ticker coming back on the 29th. It like you said, Krill, it's like this, it's a crescendo
These guys are
of these
fucking
things kind of
delusional.
coming together, and it can feel really slow at times. But when you look at the scope and the scale of this thing, it's actually moving pretty quickly. It can be hard to see that at times,
Yeah,
but it is moving quickly.
if it's a 3 year orchestra, piece, it's going to be a multi-week crescendo. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to get there slowly. And one thing you said, that we don't know what shape this is going to take post victory. Yep, absolutely right. Just as we had no idea what shape this was going to take throughout, and we relied on each other's strengths to get through it. And I have weaknesses in many areas that were covered up by the community, and I think that's the when you have a strong, healthy, functioning community, that's the way it works. We all function through our strengths. We have Jake gets a lot of credit, and rightfully so, because I don't have the mind to dig through dockets like that. That is nauseating to me. But I do have the mind to listen to a synopsis from somebody like Jake, and to apply that to a thought process that I had. Moving forward, unlike lottery winners, we're not on an island, and our money was earned through due diligence and through risk reward. We didn't put $1 and win $500 million Powerball. We put a lot of our hard-earned cash towards an investment that was obviously high risk, high reward, but required a lot of intuition, due diligence, communication, cooperation. Those same principles are what's going to be determining our success moving forward into a kind of a brave new world that is kind of untouched at this point. We'll see what form it takes as we move forward. So yeah,
Amen.
everybody discusses the lottery winner, debacles that have been well documented. We can avoid that, is basically what I'm trying to say, and we can avoid that by
Agreed.
using the same
Those are the
principles that
best
got us
boots in
here
the
in the first
game. I
place.
just got them, and they're
Yeah, man. And I
massive.
think
They're
that this
45
process,
chance better
in large
Magic Find.
part,
I had
has not
30s.
only
That's
been
awesome.
designed
Oh
to
man,
distill down the people that can
you
like
guys know
truly
the
think for
game. You know
themselves,
what's
because the
up.
people that are running this thing, they knew without a shadow of a doubt that what we would face, or they had a good idea of what we would face. And I truly believe in like the filter theory of like GME kind of being the first filter, and then BBBY being the second filter, and then the third and final filter being bankruptcy and ultimately cancellation, and whether or not you could hold through that. So it's like it's kind of this natural selection process of like finding the the people out of a large swath of people. I mean, like think about it, like it's literally the whole world, because the GME got the attention in 2021 of the entire world.
Thank
If
you.
that information was meant to find you, it did. And everybody was talking about GameStop there for a hot minute. And the people that latched on they latched on. But like how many of those people sold after the events of 2021, or sold in 2022, or gave up in 2023, right? So it's like these series of filters that were, in my mind, kind of partially designed in order to knock people off the ride and distill it down to a very select few. And I believe that the people in this
Yeah, it's you
space and the people
guys.
that are in this play are the very select few. And, we chose to be here, but also through the process, we were chosen. And due to that, like,
This is crazy.
if you think about who these guys are, and you think about what ultimately their vision for the world could look like based around their values, they don't want to just give a bunch of degenerates billions of dollars. And I
Hmm.
do think that this play is going to mint billionaires. Some people will call that crazy, but I don't really care. That's just my opinion. And you would want to make sure that you could shepherd them, at least to a degree, or at least distill it down to where it's not just the everyman or people that don't deserve it per se, um,
This guy's
get
something
get
else.
rich off of this thing. People that aren't going to utilize the money well in the end. You don't want to just give them billions and billions of dollars. So I think that's what we're seeing, and I think that this group,
What billions and
they
billions of
saw
dollars
through,
for you
we saw
guys?
through
I must have
um
missed it.
through all the nonsense, all of the noise and everything else, which ultimately led us here. But then these last few years, where like through cancellation and that sort of thing, that's been the refining process. That's where the lead has turned more and more to gold. And as you mentioned, like we have just changed so much through this journey, and it feels absolutely unstoppable, and it feels like what we have turned into are going to be the next round of like incredibly wealthy individuals that will have pull in this world. You see the connections to the Trump administration. I think that speaks for itself, among other things. And I don't know. I think the more I think about
Tell
it,
you.
and the more I sit with it, and the more I let my intuition guide me, it's like, yeah, it's huge. I know it's
Look
huge,
at that
but
ring right there, guys.
the more I sit with it, the bigger
Gold
it
ring. Look
gets.
at it.
And it's just an
Boom.
honor to
Nigel
be here. I
25.
mean,
Ah, it's
and I
okay.
truly believe that
It's pretty
everyone has
good though.
had their part to play. It doesn't
Be
matter
good for
if you're a
somebody. I give
listener
away
or,
everything.
you
Just like I do in
you don't
life.
contribute, or
I give
you
away everything
just,
in this game.
you give rally calls here and there, and it's just been quite truly just the most epic journey. And I truly believe we're all making history here.
Yeah, I think Ryan was speaking directly
This
to
guy's
us when
full
he
of
said all
shit. Like,
species
whoever's talking,
require
Steve.
adversity to
He's that guy.
survive. You
Agreed.
can look at this group as one organism, like a beehive, and we we faced a tremendous amount of adversity, and it was in overcoming that adversity that we became, you know, fundamentally capable of handling what's about to happen to us. Formidable,
Well,
and like you said, had
remember
it
what
not been for
Pulte
that, we would not be. If it were 2021, the worst thing that could have happened was a transfer of wealth. It was just you're in the casino at that point. The casino is going to get you a nice room at the
Like, what the hell are
penthouse
they talking
and
about?
comp your meals and make sure you come back down to the floor, and they're going to get it all back. But not now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think part of that casino analogy is very apt, because we've seen kind of this confluence of events again around the coming of a new financial system, which you touched on a bit earlier. And thinking about it, it's like, do you really want to launch like this next megacorp into an old financial system that is easily abused? I don't want to wait any longer, but it feels like that's kind of like a necessary piece. And we got the SEC finally adopting crypto legislation, and are very, very pro crypto. And this administration couldn't be any more pro crypto. And I haven't seen much from Paul Atkins yet, the new SEC chair, but I fingers crossed that he'll get in there and start doing things, or maybe he's just walking softly right now while he carries a big stick. That's kind of yet to be seen. It's like, I know we all want it to go quickly, but I don't know. What do you think, man? You think they're waiting on a new financial system, or you think that this thing's ready to go any day now?
I think a little bit of both. It just depends on at what point is the tipping point that they can kind of move the money to. We're just one component of what would be a completely different way to kind of interact and exchange goods and services, and to trade. I mean, if you look at it like this, the technology has been in place since blockchain was mass adopted, however many years ago. So the technology is there. Now we have a executive branch that is willing and able to create the legislation necessary to support it. However, what always the people who are going to resist the most or have a lot of power are the elites who rely solely upon legislated inefficiencies of like mid late early 21st late 20th century kind of web 2. You know, the entire notion that you can't send money from to a bank account without waiting 3 days for it to clear, which is fucking absolutely insane. That's just one of, you know, the whole entire market. Obviously dark pools, FTDs, everything is a legislated inefficiency. Few elite to profit immensely, and they are the most threatened because their mode of business does not translate to Web3 and blockchain. They don't have an answer for it. It's like it changes the environment and it strips them of all their advantages. So they're resisting. However, like all revolutions, one component comes into play first, then a second component, and then ultimately you reach that tipping point, or that, like I said earlier, the crescendo point, if you want to look big picture, and then it becomes inevitable, and the people who currently have power simply are overwhelmed by the kind of like the sands of the winds of time, if you want to look at it like that. And that's what it seems to be happening here. It also takes some brilliant forward thinking, usually young revolutionary minds. And now previous revolutions are usually bloody. However, doesn't have to be the case today. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that information can travel, and new systems can exist in a digital space, and you know, you don't, unless you're fighting through avatars, you're not going to fight wars in a digital landscape. So that's what we're creating, a revolutionary digital landscape through the Web3 blockchain environment. So it does look to me very much like this new financial system is not only inevitable, but this is the means through which it's going to get its kind of first kind of beta test. And so you have a community of people who utilized information sharing in a way that hasn't been utilized before, like rapid fire, instantaneous sharing information, because you need to share a common goal, and there has to be a strong incentive for that kind of community to grow. We had both. Incredibly strong incentive, incredibly bonding common goal. So we have been able to create this community from where the resources will then be distributed, and we'll be able to apply that to this new Web3 environment and this new blockchain exchange very quickly, because we've had 3 years to understand and prepare for it, whereas the average person is going to take a few years to understand what's happening. So yeah, from that point of view, it looks obvious to me that this is what's happening, but a few pieces behind the scenes have to fall into place for it to be the case. And we don't have direct evidence of that being the case, but we have a lot of indirect evidence to support it.
Yeah, man. Very well said. And I do agree. And one of the things I like that you said was in regard to how quickly we'll be able to adapt to this technology. It's like we're kind of like on the tip of the spear, as it were, in regards to kind of understanding what's going on, whether it be bad market mechanics or the coming future of Web3. One of the things, another thing you said that I really enjoyed too is just like, you know, the idea of the battlefield. And I do believe strongly in the idea of a digital battlefield. It's like you said, we don't have to spill blood necessarily, but the wars are being fought kind of through perception,
Yes.
and looking at what this community has had to endure over the years. It's like, how many times have we had to like shift homes, as it were? It's like it started, I think a lot of us were on Reddit, Wall Street Bets, that sort of thing, or at least we visited there in the past, even if we weren't part of the quote unquote community, because Wall Street Bets is like basically like 4chan. And then there was Super Stonk, and then like lots of the stuff got weird there. And then it was just kind of Reddit as a whole. You know, lots of us moved to the PP sub, and that ended up getting banned. And then we found ourselves kind of here on X, where it seems like we've kind of had the best rate of survival, and we've been allowed to Like even these spaces, they're huge, right? Like just being able to come and like hang out and talk about this stuff openly. I mean, how much more information can you get across to the average person by just like hanging out and talking about this stuff in a really, really casual format? And then you've got long form posts, you've got articles, you've got all these things that you can utilize. But I felt early on that without X, this would have been much, much harder because so much of this war, as it were, is the digital
Digital.
battlefield, is the dissemination of this information and, not getting caught in the muck, not getting caught in the noise, which some days feels pretty easy and some days it's really, really loud. And it can be rough at times, but we're all still here. And the fact that it's like again that I look down here and I'm looking at this space and it's just these names that I've come to know and to love as human beings that I've met in person and all this. And it's like, you and I, Grill, we've hung out plenty and it's just such an epic journey and the connections we've made. It's like I thought about the Pulte event earlier and just, I remember Pulte saying very specifically how important it is for us to meet in the physical. And I
Mhm.
think there's multiple reasons for that, but I think a large part of that is just to, develop these face-to-face connections and get to know the people behind the screen name. It's like that was networking pre-riches, to help us forge these connections, help us kind of find our own personal
This shit
tribes and
is
who we want to
crazy,
make the
guys. I'm
world a better
sorry.
place with. So I also
This is a
remember
real Spaces call
Pulte
with
saying
2,000
something along
people
the
in it
lines of
too.
"Don't become what we are about to replace."
Mhm.
And that was another one of those things that really struck me in the moment. I was like, wow, that was a big statement,
Mhm.
like he could be talking about anything, I suppose. But I think I know where all of our minds went. I think that in my opinion, he was talking about uh, the current financial elites. And then you've got Larry Chang on top of that saying, rooms like this will one day be more powerful and influential than Goldman Sachs.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah, and
yeah, man.
I think the
So,
in-person meetings are functional for two reasons: one, network building, relationship building, and two, it is more difficult, not impossible, but more difficult for parasites and shills to maintain their front-facing kind of status in person and to not be exposed for who they truly are. So, and going back to that statement that Ryan Cohen made, which fits perfectly with what you're just saying. All species need diversity to survive, but the ones that survive adapt, and that's what that uh, our ability to move from Reddit, from one sub to the next, ultimately to Twitter, to in person, to spaces, are all forms of adapting to the challenges that the environment presents, and and moving forward in an information digital space where information is is kind of like the premium that you're sharing. Um, Consensus building is what will determine success. So we're no longer individuals, kind of, uh, you know, limited by our geographical region, which determines where we can get jobs and who we can network with. In this new world where information sharing is, the internet's been around for a while, but it's matured to the point where people understand how to use it effectively now. And this is a perfect example. This community, it now is determined, but success is going to be now determined by your ability to build consensus in groups with like-minded goals and common ground, and that's exactly what we have here. So in the new digital environment, in the Web3 environment,
I just want to remind
it is
everybody they're
incumbent.
talking
And
about a
listen,
stock that has been
part of building
deleted,
consensus
a
is
company that has
disagreement.
been
Part of building
extinguished.
consensus is two sides
Is
within a community saying, I
crazy.
think this, no, I think that, and then ultimately consensus is formed when one idea outcompetes the other, and it's a competition of ideas, and you generally don't win by ad hominem attacks on your opponent. That usually exposes the weakness in your attack. So when you're attacking somebody to their core as a human being because you don't like their idea, you're exposing yourself as weak and your idea is weak. You're generally going to lose that fight, and people do that in this community, which is fine. Let them expose their weakness in their argument and see that for what it is, and just detach from it, like detach your own personal fears and concerns and whatever, detach from it and just watch the ideas compete, and you'll see which idea to follow very clearly.
yep.
um
Well, and also watch when people like the ad hominem attacks. I think that, these character attacks, it's like
Oh,
watch when people are attacking people versus the idea.
Yeah,
Like
exactly
that's a
right.
red
This is
flag.
Well,
crazy talk.
that's a
Yeah.
weakness in the argument because you wouldn't go there if your argument was so strong. You wouldn't need to go there.
Yeah.
That's a way to take eyes off the actual weakness in the argument, and that happens everywhere.
Yep.
Politics, everywhere. So
Exactly. You see it play out on all these different levels
yeah,
and different
that's human
stages.
nature. It's compensation, and just see it for what it is. Oh, they don't want me to see how weak their argument is, and don't feed into it by then attacking them personally because that's exactly where they want you to go. Because once you're in that battle,
Yep.
you're not talking about the idea. Um, so
Yep.
so listen, I have to run. I just wanted to check in with
Thank
you real
God.
quick.
They didn't talk about
I
anything.
have to get lunch,
Thanks for stopping by, man.
and
Really
Oh,
appreciate you saving me from the starting music. And yeah, dude, thanks for
yeah, dude.
absolutely.
hanging out for a little bit. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you, brother. You gonna be at that thing on Wednesday?
Yeah,
Little thingy thing?
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
That
So
thing.
All
all
right.
right,
Well, I'll see you
all right,
there,
all
brother.
right, dude. I'll
All right.
talk
What's
Much
to you
love,
that
later.
man.
thing?
All right.
Did I miss
Peace.
something? What's that thing? These guys
Hell
are
out, it's just me and you now. If anybody else wants to come up and speak, obviously there's
right.
no agenda. Um, Save me from myself. Alka, how you feeling? You healing up? You good?
Yeah. How you been?
Oh, I
How
can't
you
have
been
these
doing?
people. Is that Mojo
I've
Loco?
been good. I've been good. Just out here living my life, I'm working a lot these days and all that good stuff. So how did you get into GME? When did you get in?
Oh,
Um, I got in the first time, the first round, but it was more of a FOMO, and so I jumped in, and I
why are
just
we
kept
talking about
losing and
GameStop?
losing and losing, and I jumped out, and so I got out, and then in
I got out.
um June, it was actually the day of my mom's probate, like, to see the judge to do the probate, and I had did a day trade that put me on a 90-day ban, and
A
I
day
was
trade.
unsure about how all this stuff worked. So, anyways, I got kind of stuck in GME because I didn't want to sell it because something inside me was saying like the reason why I jumped back in was there was this feeling like like when you feel like the train is coming and you best jump on, like this is a once in a lifetime thing and your gut is telling you that. And so
Oh
I
yeah.
jumped in, and I didn't, and that was my mortgage payment money. And I
What
didn't
the
want to
fuck?
take it out, and I got a 90-day ban. So I was just like, just trying to hang on, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And then I just started, somebody told me, well, while you're stuck, why don't you research, and see why you like it. And I did. And I started looking at things, and I started to get to know the company better and things like that. And just the community and seeing the back end work. I don't get to deep dive like you guys. Like I'm so behind and everything, but
Shocker.
it's fascinating to me to see how this all works, and so I can't let go now. I mean, I've had to sell
Yeah.
some shares to live, but it's like I have some put away in computer share that it's like not touchable. And it's like, no, because I just have this feeling something good is going to happen. I don't have a lot,
Totally.
but
I think that's so many of us. I think so many of us were led here by intuition. It's like you talked about robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's like I remember, I mean, I have just been kind of in a state of financial struggle for years now, partially due to my GME addiction. It's like I refinanced my house, I put more money into it that way. I ran up my credit cards in order to, just making some like not so sound financial decisions in order to kind of like accumulate as much as possible. And I think that's part of
uh,
like what's made the journey
Crazy.
so hard for so many people is we have stretched ourselves financially and some cases detrimentally so in order to try and put as much in this as we could with the opinion at the time that it was kind of like this right around the corner sort of thing. And
yeah.
it's like when it doesn't come or it hasn't come, it's like that creates pain, but also I think we're finding that
Whoa.
through that pain there also kind of lies growth.
These are
And
the
like you said,
idiots.
like all the learning about the markets, it's like I believe that Ryan Cohen and pals, like their goal is partially to create the kind of next wave of like activist investors.
Well, it's true. It's because it's funny because I have my husband has a wealth management, for his IRA,
There's no
and
way.
he'll start talking, and I'll be like, no, 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 wait, wait, wait. And he looks at me like, what? And I'll be like, no. And, I'll go on about something, and he's like, oh, so you know? I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm not
Yeah.
stupid.
And what's wild is like
You
you
know
start to
what?
talk this language, right? That
Mhm.
like many people don't know, and it becomes hard to relate to the average person because like I find myself when I just try to go to like the most basic kind of entry level of like, okay, so here's how short selling works. People look at you and like they automatically start thinking about
Oh
squirrels.
my
They just
God.
kind of check out,
Yes.
you know?
Oh my God, yes. I use Aura, like when I just want to bounce stuff off. I just use Grok, Aura, and I'll just talk back and
Oh
forth
yeah,
and be
yeah. I
like,
love
here we
Grok.
go, here we go. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
and I've
cool.
lost, a lot of money, a lot of money.
Shocker.
And I'm like, I'm down to where like I can't day trade right now. It has to go up to get me out of my 90. I'm on a 90-day ban again. But the
90 day
thing,
Oh, did
ban.
you break the pattern day trading rule?
yes, but I had to because I had two spy
Mm,
calls that were at 2 grand each. So I was like, I'm breaking it. So,
Looking crazy.
but
right on.
so I was like, I'm gonna break it, and I'm transferring a couple shares over from Fidelity, so it'll pop me back over 25, and then I'm just gonna go slow because my thing is go big, go big, go big. I need to stop chasing that stuff. This is
Yeah.
has it, even though I
Shit.
broke, there's a lot of things that's been going on throughout that that caused it, but when you're financially distressed and you are just like just trying to see, it's like being at the casino. I want to win it back, got to get it back. Oh, I got to pay the house. Oh, you start.
This I gotta pay the
The gambler's
house.
fallacy.
Yes, and I've got,
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
an addict. I am. I'm an addict. I'm a gambling addict. I'm an alcoholic.
Well,
You name
no,
it.
no way.
I can do it. And so this is pretty much gambling. And now,
What?
throughout this entire year of losing so much money and looking back and being reminded when I get to see the year to date crap of going, holy shit, like I could have paid my house, like, just, that I'm going, okay, I need to really sit, watch, think, learn, and go small. Just turtle it. Be a
Totally. Well, I think many of us have had to learn similar expensive lessons, and I feel like that's the tuition price, to a degree. It's like you lose a lot of money on these calls, or you buy in at the wrong time or whatever because you didn't check any indicators or whatever, and then you start trying to figure out how to lose less money in the future. And then, also in regard to what you're saying, like going big, position sizing.
turtle.
It's like, well, you can feel so sure about a move when you're building your position. It's like I put out a post the other day. I think it's going to run hard in September, and I'm starting to think about like my position sizing on that sort of thing. And of course, nobody should listen to me. This is
It's
just
gonna
a
run hard in
Yeah.
guess,
September. Yeah, it's
right? Like it's a
fucking earnings.
guess,
We
and
know.
I've been wrong
We're
about
all excited.
so many things.
This
I'm
guy's
probably wrong
ridiculous.
about this too, and you should not listen to me.
Oh, trust me.
But I feel like we've been at a period of consolidation for a long time. The
Yeah.
indicators are kind of showing that there's possibly a move up, and who knows, could be completely wrong. And ultimately, this is an algorithmically controlled stock. So you got to kind of like try and play the cycles, which the cycles ultimately, I don't think anybody's nailed them down exactly. But yeah, you're right. It's like this tuition, and then it puts you in a worse spot. And then that leads to kind of these like little financial dark nights
Yes.
of the soul, right?
Yes.
That ultimately break you
Oh
down, but
God,
like they
yeah.
build you back up.
Yes.
And then you look at it like from the perspective like of a few years down the road, and it's like, well, what would you do differently?
Well,
And I think if you're being ultimately objective, the answer is probably nothing, because these are all things that you needed to learn,
oh,
right?
absolutely. Like, yeah, I'm pissed about how much money I've lost. I am pissed. I'm pissed about everything I've had to go through losing it. But, but I sit back and I think, okay, but you guys have done this for 3 years, so like, could I have lasted 3 years? Hell, I don't know if I could have, so I'm grateful that I'm still here and I'm still doing it, and and I've just learned, and I'm still learning the patience. I'm still learning to not fear trade, and maybe I just need to go back to hodling again, and just watching and paper trading, because I was like, no, I'm not going to paper trade. I got a hands on it. Well, Jesus, take the wheel, because it ain't working.
Jesus,
So
take the wheel.
I need
Yeah,
to do
and it's
something
like
different.
sometimes I find I do really great when I paper trade.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean?
Well, that's
It's like I'm a great paper trader somehow. I don't know if you think. I wonder if it's because like there's like less emotion involved when it's not real money, so you can just
yeah.
like you can just be more calculated
Am I
because it's just
tripping?
numbers on a screen and you're just playing the game. But it's like when it's your real money and
You fear
you've got your
trade.
rent or your mortgage payment
Yes.
or you like don't have groceries or you got credit card bills that are too
So
high,
there's
then
no
it becomes
stairwell
this
to
like
level 4?
emotional thing. And like they've done studies on the
I'm
effects of like market
tripping.
based emotions, like
This
trader
Oh my
map
emotions.
is
And
gosh.
it's like
broken.
everybody's affected by it. And they've also engineered their
Guys,
algorithms
there's
in
no
such a way
stairwell.
in order to deeply affect your emotions. Because when you're
Freak.
emotional, you're not thinking logically. And,
No.
there's a good chunk of this that's logic based. It's indicators, it's, da 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 da. And, ultimately one can make the argument that these people, they're going to move it
Huh?
however they want at the end of the day,
Oh,
and it
over
kind of
here.
doesn't really matter. You look at GME when they had
Yeah.
these 300% surprise earning beats
Tripping.
and the stock tanks, and there's no offering. It's like, well, what's with that,
Oh
um,
yeah. Yeah.
and then you just kind of you start to see the strings that are kind of pulling all these things a little bit, and it gets bleak. But then you slowly start to figure out the game, and then you start to play the game how it is in reality, and not necessarily like how we feel it should be, which can be a tough pill to swallow
Oh
because
yeah.
it's so messed up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, I can't be angry. Like, I mean, it's I'm the one who did it, but they were hard lessons, and I know other traders have lost way more, and I can look back and I can see where, when I was panicking trading, the fear trade, how much I lost. And then days where I sat there and was just like, I'm gonna make X amount of dollars, cash out, go walk to the lake, and I was fine. And if I just kept that attitude, I'd be okay. But once I went into survival mode, oh Lord Jesus, help me. I'm a Texas Twister at that time. So, because that's all I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
totally.
I'm just thinking survival, survive, survive, get through.
100%. Well, and also like that first win is like
Adrenaline.
it's like heroin.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. Yeah. So it's like
What
you just like
win?
you're chasing that win and it's
Have they
like
ever
you
Like
may
I decided I just need to do it. I I need to do it before.
yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
Sometimes I think I should just do it before we actually get good news, you know? Like let me just let
Totally.
me just get it out of the way. Um,
Yeah.
but how you been, famous?
I've been great. I've been great. For our listeners, you wanna tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, you and I know each other. Know Anand, he's a wonderful man. Met you guys multiple times at the Pulte events. Y'all are y'all are beautiful people. Some of my favorite people I've met in the
Oh,
saga.
What the hell?
yeah. I was thinking maybe I could tell uh more people about why I joined the GME
Perfect.
situation. Um, I have two kids, right now, almost 10 and an 8-year old. And during, like, when the pandemic started, the first thing was that everybody got in their houses and whatnot. And I have a 5-year old, almost like 5, 6-year old, and a 3-year old. And my biggest challenge was, how do we keep these kids in the house? And so we were just kind of, as like young parents, we were just like, okay, what are we gonna do? Um, and the logical thing in front of my eyes was that I had a 5, 6-year old son, and all their friends were into. Obviously, we knew that everybody wants to get into gaming, and that's kind of everything that we were talking about, that, hey, maybe gaming is good, maybe gaming is not, screen time, this and that. But the fact of the matter that it was obvious to me was that these kids loved video gaming. I myself, I grew up playing like Nintendo and whatnot with my brother. This was obviously before the internet. And so we were a little bit like, yeah. And so once the pandemic happened, to me, it was a no brainer that these kids are about to be on the video game. So I told my husband, I said, like, what's a company that sells video games? You know, like all these kids are going to be, that's what they're going to do. And so it was like that kind of a decision to think about investing in a GameStop stock. But
No
yeah,
kidding. That's a perspective I've never heard before, and I love
well,
it.
that's really, it was just that basic. And to everyone's surprise, like me and my husband, we have our own like business, but my father raised me as like we don't really get into the stock market at all. Like he doesn't believe in gambling. He doesn't believe like he's just like you make what you make, you spend what you have, and then like that's that, right? So we're not even people that are educated about the market, but it was just that like my son,
Bet you are now.
yeah, it's like my son is, what is he gonna do at home? And we knew everybody's into video gaming. That's what all the moms are talking about. And then so then obviously we made a list of we're like we don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, video game for sure. Like I don't have a doubt this is about to take off. And we thought we were doing something. We thought it was like like a like a naturally obvious decision to make.
It sounds so pragmatic.
Yeah, it was like the obvious that yeah, people are gonna watch more TV or you know what, yeah. So the thing was that he started just really, really doing deep dives by himself, and then he's like, I think something is happening now. A little bit of backstory on that is that me and my husband we got married very young, and I had my son Arjun at 25. So I have been a young mom, and so I have already been in this place thinking that I don't know why people don't quite care about me as a young mom. Like, I feel it that the environment is just like not made for young moms. And I've always, I always feel like I don't know what's going on. And I couldn't really point it. I wasn't quite sure I had the feels for it, whatever. But the more I hear about the plot, to me, I'm in it because it's not necessarily for the money for me, but it was just that for the first time, I think I feel seen as a mother. And as a mother, I feel like, okay, somebody wants to get this right for my kids. And that has been kind of like my pull in this community that I think that there's something in the air that I can't quite explain, but like I just see everyone flocking towards just complete greed in every aspect of my life. And I'm like, I don't know why people don't care for children. So me and my husband are always the one that we host all these like kids things and little programs here and there for children, but I we just don't see grown people or people that are much more I would say respected in the community or folks that are much more established to really have things with the purpose of having children in mind. And it really always used to bother me because I was just like, why? And it was funny, I had gone to Twitter, and this is obviously for no other reason, it's a coincidence, but I had named my Twitter before this movement Ape Mama. Like, I don't know why I did that, but I did. And I used to really like all the ape memes. And so it kind of just stayed with me. And
I love it.
I felt
So I'll break it all down for you. There's a guy named Sanders. I don't know his name completely. It's Sanders Parker. That sounds like a fake name anyway, but he has like 6,500 followers on Twitter, and he's all about Bed Bath and Beyond. And somehow they start talking about GameStop. I haven't heard this call at all. I'm listening to it for the first time with you. They're in a Twitter Spaces call. They have speakers that come up and talk, and it's all butterfly people, all people pushing out one side, Canadians, Bed Bath and Beyond apologists, just all the dudes who are lying to people, literally lying to people. And so I'm listening to it just to see how outrageous the stories are.
Like it was like a calling for me to be part of this, but the involve the involvement has, and I really love like then it just this thing just started really growing for me because it was all about the young and the children, and then just things that really affect me as a mom for my kids. Like it started getting really personal. So I'm so grateful to be part of this journey and to also find a community that respect families and respect young families too. Someone that like I feel like I belong, and I'm so thankful for all of you guys, and be able to listen to all the conversations when I've been alone at home. Oh, thank you.
Totally. Yeah. And thank you for sharing all that. It's amazing to like hear all the different, it's like so many, everybody's had such a different experience on this road. It's wild, but it's like we're all ultimately kind of walking this similar path. And it's like it takes all of us. So like thank you. Yeah.
What the
And
hell are you talking
you're
about?
a lovely human. It's like I've met you and your
What
husband again
path? The
multiple
path
times
of
now, and you guys are
bankruptcy?
just you have wonderful energy and you're very, very good people. So
Yes.
we're really happy you're here. I can,
We are so.
yeah.
I think every time we like what you said earlier about how Pooty said that we don't want to be like the folks that that we're trying to replace, as well as I think that there's something about meeting in person. Like when we all meet, I every time I feel like it's someone that um like already has a similar belief system as me. Like we're all saying, thinking the same thing, and when we all meet in person, I'm just so thrilled that like you guys exist, and
Agreed.
I don't have to feel like I'm fighting this all alone myself. Um,
This is crazy.
I've really made good friends in the community, and I don't know what I would have done the last 4 years if it wasn't for these space calls. So
Yeah,
You would have saved a whole lot of
totally. And
money.
what's crazy too, it's like there's no drama
no,
at the events.
no, I mean,
There's no drama. It's like the real people that come out to these things, they're like you said, they're all like super supportive, super loving, super kind, and just like genuinely good people.
The
And
cult.
yeah, it's like all the drama. It's like you have to start wondering like how much of that's just manufactured, because it's just how it manifests here
yeah,
online.
I mean,
So
for me, it's always been that like the effort that people take to deny the most obvious thing that we need to do. Like some of the like talking about I'm going to invest in GameStop because my son plays so much video games. Like to me, it's like a no brainer. Like this is
Why
in
are we
front of
talking
my
about
eyes.
GameStop
This is
though?
going
This has
to
nothing to do with GameStop.
100% is going to work. All him and his friends. That's all they want to do. So when I see a plot and people are just arguing about the most basic thing, it's like, are we kidding? Like this has to be,
yeah, it's just a distraction.
yeah. And so I think the more things we have witnessed together as a group, the more confident I am than ever before that like, oh, this is so happening. Like, and that,
Totally, yeah. It wouldn't
yeah,
be they wouldn't be here. You know
yeah,
what I mean? If it wasn't happening, these people wouldn't be here. Like it's all very calculated,
What are
very
we talking
controlled.
very
about?
controlled.
Sean, how are you, sir?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Neil.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, you're
Sean,
fine.
I want to give you a chance to speak real quick, and then XYZ will go to you. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming up.
Oh, nothing. No,
It's,
hard to follow Neil. That was beautiful.
I know that was epic. Yeah.
Uh, no, I just exciting times for those that knows what's going on and is watching and understands. Uh, I, it's the greatest time to be alive is not a catchphrase, guys. I mean, you're living in history. I hope everybody understands that because you're a part of the change. You're part of the movement. You're part of the group. It's beautiful.
The hell are we talking about?
Yeah. It's the greatest show, the greatest story ever told. I'm really starting to believe that, and it's like I feel like so much of this, once this is done, it's like a lot of this journey has been kind of imprinted here on X. So it's like get ready for everything you've ever done online to start getting a lot of attention really quickly. I truly believe that, and I don't know, it's epic hearing all the different stories from Alka to Nia, and Sean. You and I have talked a bit as well. I've never heard your story about how you got in. I would love to though. It's just epic. It's like we're all being kind of drawn by this force and this like different feelings and different reasons for getting in and different reasons many times for staying. But it's like it's always inspiring to me, kind of like how altruistic it typically is. People are here for their kids. They're here for the change that they want to see in the world. They're here to like use their money for good. And it's like we've been through the ringer, you know? And it's like I truly believe that this group and people listening in here are going to be known as some of the best investors the world has ever seen when this is all said and done, because you withstood some of the greatest campaigns against any any like group in many 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 moons. It's like they haven't gone down easily, so
You guys
it's
realize that
epic.
he's
And it's
talking about Bed Bath and
yeah,
Beyond,
Sean, i
and they're
think you're
talking
i
about
think you're
GameStop?
dead on, and it's cool. It floors me, and it's like the more I hear from people, the more I'm floored. XYZ, do you want to jump in real quick?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, and it's good to be part of the Bed Bath and Beyond community. So my question is regarding the S3, which launched came yesterday through IEP, and the comparison was done great with the S3 and the Bed Bath and Beyond debt, so debt for equity swap thing. So what your take on it? And we have so many amazing speakers here to just want to see if somebody can say anything. And sorry, second question is regarding the overstock in overstock. Marcus Learners always says about the baby equity, baby Bitcoin tokenized. So I think is the second part which will slowly start coming out later on. It's not like the now thing.
Yeah, as far as the S3 goes, I mean, I was at work last night when that came out. I put it out there that it had come out. I've seen some people talking about how it's a 3-year vesting process, or it's the 1.2 billion was raised over the last 3 years, which lines up with certain timelines. I haven't gone in there and really dug into it. I think that most people, when they see that, they look at it from the perspective of, IEPs making moves. There's tertiary things that line up, and there's been high speculation that Carl is part of this stuff. And part of this play, it's like you go back and you look, and it's all of his lawyers. They've cited certain through the bankruptcy process. They've cited different cases that Carl has been a part of directly in the dockets. So I think that for many people, just with these things happening, we may not know exactly what it means. We may not be able to guess that, and we may not be able to know exactly what their moves may be. I think that the hopes is that it's going to be used for the shell in some way, but you know, not sure. Not sure. I haven't dug into it. And at this point, kind of like a couple other speakers have said, it's like I'm not getting too deep into the paper work these days. Like I feel like we've won. I've got other things going on. It doesn't feel like the best use of my time. But I think people are just excited in general because it's ICANN Enterprises making a move.
Yeah, and when you said earlier about how people got here, some of us got here a whole different route. But when I speak about alignments and looking at who's aligned with each other, that'll put a lot of the pieces of the puzzle together for people.
Right on. Right on. Sean, when did you buy in? What's your story? How did you find out about this whole mess we found ourselves in?
Well, I didn't come from the Reddit side. I came from the research side, and I've kind of told my story before, but my awakening started, like 17 years ago. So I've been on a long journey. It's all been a casino. Y'all have covered it. I mean, we all know that. It's all been a casino, but as I was seeing this come together and the more and more research I was doing, I'd always been an investor. I've told a couple of stories. I've won once at Siri I kind of saw what was going on there a long time ago. But for the most part, I've got my teeth kicked in my whole life. And you have 401ks, and then you try to do your own little accounts, and just been in trying to understanding that it's rigged, and then understanding the levels of the corruption. It's a rabbit hole that everybody's got to go down themselves. But it's it's depressing at first, and then you want to rise up against it, and that's the fight of it. And that's where I've been in, is just fighting with retail. But I invested during the sneeze of GameStop. Of course, that's when it became mainstream. But after that, I was already deep into research, and I followed Ryan the day he announced. I bought that day into Bed Bath and Beyond.
The fuck?
That's awesome. I mean, so you're ahead of the curve then, for sure.
Yeah, I've been following this for a while. There's a lot going on, and I don't have all the answers. Trust me, I don't. Just done enough research and felt comfortable with the alignments and what we're doing and what's transpiring right now. And it's been painful wait, but you got to realize we're in one lifetime, and the central banking system started in 1913. So if you think people hadn't paid their dues before us, that's where I, I, I don't go down that road. There's a lot been hurt.
Yeah, and this is a beast that's been growing in power, like you said, for a long time, since 1913. And it's like I think that all roads kind of lead to the Fed. And once you start to learn about and I know everybody here has, once you learn about the monetary system and you learn about just how our money's created and what's it backed by and what the Federal Reserve actually is, and who created it and why, it's like it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. And to see Pulte catching members of the Fed for mortgage fraud, which could lead to resignations and or firings. I mean, like, just I don't see how anybody can't start connecting some dots here.
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, I saw it from the beginning, but I hope everybody comes to understand how blessed you were that Bill joined into our community, because he didn't have to, but that's somebody that cares.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think he kind of came at a pivotal time as well. And people try and say that Bill Pulte pays me and like whatever. No, I appreciate people that like I feel are good people, and I feel like Bill Pulte's good people. And if you've met the man, and if you've been in this journey long enough, if you've gone to one of the events and you felt the just kind of energy of those events and the people that are there, it's like, and then you kind of extrapolate that and see how kind of critical it was for the galvanization of us as a people for this process. Like, how could you not appreciate that? I think you'd be kind of deluded if you hated on the man for that. It was such a critical piece of the puzzle to me to be able to like really just, I don't know, build these relationships. I've recently moved and I've made some friends down here, but like most of my friends exist on here. Also, speaking of which, I had some people message me and asking what's on Wednesday, because I talked to something about Krill. We're just a handful of guys getting together on a video chat. It's nothing crazy, nothing like BBBY related. So sorry, there's no 10 there. We're just catching up.
I bet.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Sean. I think that Bill kind of came along right when we were kind of, in many ways, like the shambliest of shambles, because we were about to go through cancellation and all of that. And the work he did with the PP show and the work that he did hosting those events many times out of his own pocket, the connections that were forged there. And it's like, I've met you, and everybody that's never met Sean, like he's like a very good, very kind, gentle giant of a man. Feels like you could crush my skull in the palm of your hand. Um, but yeah, man, Sean is a great guy, and I'm honored to have met him, and I wouldn't have had it not been for Pulte. So thanks, Bill, wherever you are. I know you're busy, but yeah, thanks, man. And yeah, people will lie and spin narratives and ad hominem attacks and say I've been paid by Pulte. Like, none of that's true. Just just appreciate them. Good vibes. What's up, dog?
Hey man, been a long time since I've come up. Just thought I'd say hi.
I
I
know.
know.
Thanks for saying hi, dude. How's life? How's the
Oh,
world?
things are
How's
good. Things
everything?
are good. I'm getting excited about things. You just kind of resonated with me when you were talking about, just being pushed along and somehow, I don't know, it just seems like a bunch of regards all somehow got pushed into the same place. And it's
Yep.
just,
It starts to. I mean, I've, I know people get on me for my woo woo talk, but like at the end of the day, it's God. Like that's my
well,
honest
okay, so
belief. I believe you chose to be here. You were chosen to be here by God. Like you're here because of God.
yeah,
Just my
I don't
opinion.
know how else to
Whoa.
explain it. So I've shared with a lot of you some of the reasons and ways that I've gotten into this and confirmations that I've had personally on levels that don't make any sense to me whatsoever. Um,
This is not
I
fake,
don't
by
want
the
to
way.
rehash that, but I do got a new one for you.
Hold on.
It just happened a couple
All right, let's
just
go.
happened a couple days ago, and this one isn't huge, but so I think I've talked to you about the fact that I don't, you know, it's funny because I've had a talk with more than one person that's in this group right now that has kind of said the same thing. They don't believe in any of this stuff, but yet somehow it keeps happening to us. So Uh, yeah.
Yep.
So my wife, from what I can tell, appears to be some sort of empath. She has dreams that seem to be visions and things like this. She doesn't even understand it herself, but I can see them very clearly. Um, Over time, that's affected me, and I've started to have some dreams that seem to have some basis in reality. I don't understand. Uh, but this latest one was kind of surprising to me because it actually involved my sister-in-law, who's never really shown that kind of ability before. Uh,
He's about
so
to
this
get
is
a
what happened,
divorce.
and I shared this with a couple people in the group already. But I just like, you got to be kidding me. It's like every time I think God's kind of left, and it's like, okay, now you're on your own. I've given you enough of a nudge. It's like, well, let me just give you one more. So the other day, I'm just
Yep.
walking the dog, no big deal. Just thinking to myself about, okay, this is about to come to fruition, and I'm heading down probably a little bit of the bad path, which is okay. How am I going to spend this money on myself? Not saying anything out loud, not anything, just visualizing in my head. And I'm like, oh man, I'd really like to have a big house. I'd like to have a pool and a tennis court and all this. And I was like thinking to myself, yeah, I want those things, but not really. What do I really want? I want some nature around a nice house. I want a nice property with nature. And it's like, one thing I've always kind of dreamed of having is like this nice like stream running through the back of like a property. I just think it would be pretty, just be able to walk down to it every day and
Yo, this is
listen to it or
crazy.
meditate to it or whatever. And that feeling goes by, and I finished the walk on the dog, and it wasn't even anything that I really thought to myself, other than I never even said it out loud, never expressed it to my wife, never expressed it to my kids, nothing. A couple of days go by, my wife says, "Oh yeah, I just talked to my sister." I was like, "Oh really?" Yeah. She said, "Yeah, she had a dream about us last night." I said, "Really? What'd she dream?" She said, "Oh, you were showing her around this big new house that you had bought the family." I said, "Oh really?" Yeah. She said, "You had the most beautiful stream in the backyard."
Yup.
I'm like,
Yup.
WTF? And I've never mentioned this place. She has no idea I'm invested in this. She has no idea about, Ryan Cohn or Carl Icahn or GME or BBY or anything like that. So,
Einstein said that synchronicities are God's way of staying anonymous. And I do believe that God speaks to us through synchronicities and also through other people at times. So, I mean, that fits, dude. And what's wild to me is like I had a hardcore spiritual awakening in 2023. And like I've had several like quote unquote dark nights of the soul where I just feel hopeless. And like you said, it feels like God's left you. But God always comes back. And if you're like trying to be on the path, as it were, and your intentions are good, like you'll just continue to flow
No, I
in
totally
that
agree.
state. And like last week, actually, I was like one of the darkest weeks I've actually had. My stepfather has very aggressive cancer. He's in and out of the hospital right now. It all developed like
Sucks.
literally in the last few weeks. And I was house sitting for my mom, and I started to think maybe like the freaking house was haunted just because I was such a low vibration. It was a really, really dark period. But yeah, man, I think that there's many such cases. You've got the DSV video that talks about the signs. Are you one that just like, do you see coincidences? And, you know, you could
Oh
say
yeah.
that that is related to these synchronicities that we're talking about. But one of the things that also always stuck with me was Pulte. The books he recommended were God's Debris and Power versus Force. And those are very spiritual books. God's Debris is a thought experiment by Scott Adams, who basically shows how every piece of the puzzle, and it's
It's all
all
connected.
going to come
It's
together. And it's
all
all,
connected,
yeah,
man. It's
exactly.
all connected.
All connected, exactly, man. And then Power versus Force is basically like a guidebook to ascending the levels of consciousness. And like, I don't know, I'm a firm believer that people that like start to talk shit about the spiritual path or try and knock people off of it are kind of like the worst people, because, you know, I think everybody in this play to a degree has felt a pull or had things happen that they just can't quite explain, and everybody's story is going to be
Oh, I
different.
can explain it.
And it,
I can
Yeah.
explain it very easily.
yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah, you
raining.
can, but like, you know, before you know, you don't
Yeah,
know, you know what I
exactly.
mean? And it's like that's God's way of getting your attention. Of like, you listening now? No? Okay, let's do this, you know, and some lessons
It's
you have
just
to repeat
been.
more than
I
once.
mean, it's just crazy. It's like one thing after another, and it's like I never had these type of things happen to me, and now it's just like it just seems like okay, every 6 months or something, something weird happens that just kind of knocks me over the head and says, "You weren't paying
Yep.
attention," or it's let me put God up there
Okay,
laughing
I'm
at me. I
listening,
don't
God. I'm
know.
sorry, God. I'm listening now. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I used to be like a staunch atheist.
Yep,
And you
me
know,
too.
like this was just a few years ago. And you know, when I really like searched my heart as to like why that was, it's like, and I started learning more in the spiritual path, it's like it's that idea of the law of opposites. This or you know, even kind of like the law of polarity, where it's like, you know, to really, if you're here for the experience, it helps if you want the full breadth of the experience to swing from one end of the pendulum to the other, right? So let that swing, the swing to the left is equal to the swing to the right. And you know, was an atheist, and now I'm deeply spiritual, and I'm trying my best to have a solid relationship with God. And there's been so many things here that you know, I've gone down so many like rabbit holes, whether it be quantum, you know, studying other religions, studying Christianity, and you find that they kind of all say the same thing, and
Yo.
It's
everybody doesn't
crazy,
have their
man.
own
It's
relationship
crazy.
with it. It's crazy, dude. Yeah,
I think
everybody's got their own
what's
journey. And
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what's amazing to me too is that um there's been times where I feel like there's some ambiguity in some of the signs that I see. And I feel like
Ambiguity.
that's when God smacks me over the head even more. It's
Hmm.
like, okay, let me just make it even more obvious to you.
It's
Like,
personal, bro.
Totally.
yeah.
It's like, oh, that didn't work. Let's give it another whirl there.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I told you the things that have happened, I don't like nobody would believe me, honestly. I guess it's just
Well,
for
they
me,
wouldn't, because they're your
Yeah, they're
experience.
my
You know what I mean?
experiences.
And it's like it's not going to land like it does with you, because what happens is when you see a synchronicity, you know it's a synchronicity because that event deeply resonates with you, and you may not be able to say, "Oh, well, this is for sure going to happen." Sometimes the synchronicity is there to teach you a lesson. Sometimes you have to learn that lesson more than once, or you're working out some bad karma, as it were. I think that the key is, you know, that's when the more you understand that,
Is this what are they
and
talking about?
the more you just kind of trust the
Where's the
process, which, like, this
fundamentals?
again, this process of having this doctor list and everything gone through, we've been forced into the state where we have to trust the process.
I
I
can't
think
with
that's
these
true for
guys.
the spiritual path as well. It's like, do your best, work hard, and trust the process. Understand that everything is happening for you and not to you, and that your journey is your
Sure.
own. And you don't have to wake anybody else up, and you can't anyways, because either they have eyes to see or they don't. And just be a great person. That's what ultimately all the spiritual stuff is about. And you know, Faith would say it's raising vibrations. Christians would say be taking on the consciousness of Christ. Like, I mean, like, maybe not in those words, but ultimately that's what they're talking about. And there's many different paths to get there. What's important, I think, is like largely what a lot of us are here to do. And I think that ultimately a lot of people here have had similar experiences. I think anybody that is trying to stop us from talking
And
about
I'm
it
trying
should
to
be
get
looked at very
the game
critically,
up.
in my
Hold on.
opinion. What up, Anant?
What's going on?
I can do it this way.
We're just out here living our best lives. We're talking about God and synchronicities, all while somehow tying it back to Roaring Kitty and just
Yeah.
having a good old time here on
What does
this
that have to
X
do with Roy
space,
Kitty?
man.
So I wanna share something with you on the thought of synchronicity, and I've never really given a 30,000 foot view of how I ended up here, but it starts real quick. I'll make it as quick as possible.
What do we got here?
When my father came to the States in the early 80s, he vividly remembers telling me, or he told me later on, that he had two goals. He wanted to get educated in America, and he wanted to make money in the stock market in America. Anywhere else in the world, uh, those were the shining beacons to the rest of the world: the American education system and the American financial system. And so those were his goals. And life happened. He came here without a father at age 12, didn't speak a lick of English, had probably a few quarters in his pocket. And life happened, and he got to do neither. Didn't get educated, didn't make money in the market. So he, as a side gig, got into helping a local roofing company. And one of their projects was taking the original log cabin in Kentucky that Abraham Lincoln was born in, taking that original log cabin and putting another structure around it to preserve it for future generations. So he just came to America and ended up working on perhaps one of the most iconic presidents' childhood cabin in Kentucky, where I ended up being born in Kentucky. So fast forward, I'm a kid and I'm learning how to read, and I can't shake the idea of Abraham Lincoln's story. So I'm going to the library and getting my hands on any and all books, Abe Lincoln, and I'm just pouring through them, all the details and the assassination and his policy and the Civil War and all that stuff. And I just couldn't shake it, and I still can't. So then, I'm 13 years old, and we're doing a road trip up to Indiana. My dad goes, "Hey, do you want to take a 2 hour detour to see that log cabin Lincoln was born in?" And I said, "Sure, 2 hours is a hell of a detour, but yeah, I guess we'll take it." I got to go there and I got to see the log cabin. And it was great as a kid reading all these books, seeing his humble beginnings, and then seeing that my dad helped put the roof on this structure. On that road trip back, I took 1,000 page book that I had bought from Barnes and Noble about coding. And I said, I'm 13 years old. I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up. I'm going to teach myself coding. So I went through this 1,000 page book on the way back from that road trip, and I taught myself coding. And many years later, I ended up starting a business, which is going to be, 17 years old this September. So that's the Abe Lincoln bucket. Then there's the Titanic bucket, where I don't know why. There's plenty of shipwrecks, there's plenty of plane wrecks, there's plenty of catastrophes and great things that have happened in the world and in America. But I could not shake the story of the Titanic, like the opulence and like the first class, second class, third class, and second class and third class were forced to be locked below the deck until the first class could get off on the lifeboats. And then like JP Morgan was supposed to be on the ship,
Got
but
him.
he mysteriously ended up not getting on it. And I just couldn't shake the Titanic. So I've gone through
And he
dozens
financed the
of
building
books.
of it.
Exactly. And I went through dozens of books on the Titanic, to the point where until that accident last year, I actually had the Titan's submarine website bookmarked on my office browser, because I told my wife,
These
if I
guys are
ever made serious FU
ridiculous.
money, I'm going to pay the 250,000 and I'm going to go down and see that wreckage. And, I've scratched that off my bucket list since. But then you
Yeah,
dive deeper
I'd say
into,
so.
yeah, yeah. Then you dive deeper into Lincoln, and any president that wanted to tie the dollar back to gold or silver had a very untimely and not fun demise. They got shot and killed, or they got shot at. So I found that to be very interesting. Then so many people that were opposed to the Federal Reserve ended up dying on the Titanic. And there's a lot of interesting conspiracy theories about that. So just, in the world of synchronicity, I would love to grow up and tell my kids that, like, hey, I knew exactly what the hell I was doing when I got into this play. But I think it was just like a series of
Don't
well
tell your
placed
kids,
nuggets
brother. They're
that,
gonna be like, "Dad, you're
call it
stupid."
divinity, call it the universe, call it whatever you want to call it. But these little seeds were in me as a kid. I questioned all of it, and I think it all came to a head and brought me to Superstock and GME and Reddit, and then all you find people. So with that, I'll shut up. But I just wanted to share
Thank
that
100%.
God.
little
No,
anecdote with
no, that
you.
was great, man. I wonder how many people in this play have like a deep connection to the Titanic, because I was also the same way, man. I dug deep in the Titanic, and I don't know, it's a weird kind of obsession for me. I don't think I went as hard as you did. Um, but man, no, that's real, dude. And it's like I think at a certain point something
Shh.
clicks in you, and you can look back
Welcome,
and you
my
can see all
lion.
these nuggets from your past,
Hey, this
and you
guy
can
just
see
went
how
for breath. I
everything
mean, what
was
did he
just
do? Just come over to
perfectly
get killed?
crafted in order to teach you certain lessons or to provide you with the knowledge that you need
These
now,
boys
Yeah,
are
it
aggressive.
makes
in
no
order to keep
sense. Yeah,
going.
it makes no sense.
Yeah,
Because even on the
well, it does
business
make
side of
sense.
things, like I grew my business to like a decent sized business, but I always saw there was so much money above me. And, you know, running a small business, it's like, yeah, there's a grind and you're wearing many hats and you're trying to figure it all out. And then every time you stop and come up for air, you're like, wait a minute, how is there a layer above this and where does that money come from and what do they do? And it just didn't make sense. And like I didn't have a 401k for the longest time. My brother-in-law always gave me shit for it because he's a corporate guy. He's like, you have to have a 401k. Like, I don't know how you're gonna retire and so on and so forth. And it's like it doesn't make sense to me. Like investing in a stock for 10 years and just holding, you know, to make 8%, 10%, or 401ks. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I think all my questions got answered and then some the last 4 years.
Well, I want to jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
I hope everybody appreciates what Anand just threw down there, because he was spitting fire and
Oh,
go
okay.
down your own rabbit hole.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he's spitting fire.
Yep, yep,
He's
yep.
incredible.
Yeah, I think it's you know, and I'm personally, it's so cool to hear all of y'all's stories and all the
All of
little
y'all's.
nudges you got to put you here, and I don't know, it's kind of like fueled your fire, as it were, to keep going. Because like I've come to the belief at this point, again, after going down so many spiritual rabbit holes and looking into, you know, just trying to find what resonates with me. But I am a firm believer at this point that everything is by design, and everything happens for a reason, and also that, like, you know, you chose to be here, you knew that this was going to happen. You may have forgotten it when you incarnated, but um you chose to be here, and your life has been structured in such a way to lead you here now.
Mhm.
And the question is ultimately why. And from the answer for everyone is going to be very different. It's the same, but it's also different. The same part is like market reform. We want to fix injustice in the world. We want to protect the children. These sorts of things. But the different is back to that, like on that God's debris. Everything's connected. Again, I've used this analogy in the past, or I've brought this up before, with the analogy of the truck and God's debris. And they ask, like, what's the most important part of the truck? And it's like, well, the it's like some people would say the steering wheel, some people would say the tires, you know, whatever. Some people would say the engine.
The fuck is this?
And the truth is that the truck doesn't run without all the parts of the truck. And I think that that is exactly what we're experiencing here in this community. And I think that everybody knows that they're here for a reason, to a degree, and they're trying to figure out what exact part of the truck they are at times. But, you
Mm-mm.
know, I'm also a firm believer that
The
nothing
most
can
important
stop
part of the
this,
truck, guys. Are you ready?
and that
The
this is all
road
by
you're
design, and
driving
this is
down.
what you're here
That's
to
the most
do,
important part
and
of the
you're
truck.
doing it. And I
Doesn't matter
can
how
look
great
back to
that
my
damn
college
truck
career,
is.
and the classes I took and
They can have
everything
anything you
else, and how
want,
they're
but if it's a
perfectly
cliff,
geared in order to put me in the position I'm
remember
here.
that.
Like my accounting,
They'll
I
never
took accounting to a
understand. My
graduate
wife brought me
level, didn't know
chilaquiles.
why at
It's
the
over, bro.
time. And I ended up dropping out of college my last year. And, you know, then I essentially felt possessed in 2023 when I was doing my FTX research and started doing like the HBC deal research and all that stuff. I didn't know why I was doing it. I just knew I had to do it. And ultimately, a lot of my DD is what has led me to be here talking to you guys today. And it's just, I think everybody's got their own story, and I think everybody's here for a reason. And I think that we're truly going to change the world. Like I think that's said a lot, often with hyperbole, uh, but I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that this process, this outcome, and everything is going to be what changes the world and what shapes it for truly a better future. we're a piece of several, but we are still a large piece.
You know, I had walked away famous, but I guess you were talking about synchronicity. And what was so odd was, I'm sure I've told you this story or I've said it before, but just prior to finding the community, because I was in DJT and I was seeing, actually what I see in GameStop now, I was seeing in GME, in DJT, and I popped out of there and then put my money in GME. But I had this buzzing type, like it felt like bees buzzing in my body, and I could not explain it. I have anxiety, but it was not an anxiety kind of feel. It felt like little worker bees just buzzing in my body. And as
Yep.
soon as I found GME, I swear, hand to God, the buzzing stopped, and within 6 months, after 10 years of benzos, I was off of benzos.
Yep, that's how it goes. It's like once you start that process, that like, at least in my experience and everything I've understood and learned, it's like it's this immediate kind of like bringing you out of that hole, as it were, and you start thinking of different ways to better your life. And again, it's that pendulum analogy. I think that again, from all of my research and everything I've learned and everything that resonates with me to be true, I believe that there's a lot of high spiritual beings here. And part of what you do as a high spiritual being is you
This
choose
dude
a
is
really,
crazy,
really
bro.
difficult life because you can take it. And if you ultimately are here for the experience of that life, and you know that it's all just kind of a game, and you know that your soul is infinite, and you know that this is just one experience of an infinite number of experiences that you're going to have, then that's where you can kind of start to enjoy the game. And when you like understand too how the game works, and you can start shaping the game for yourself.
Like, I don't even know
And
what he's
I
talking about.
Yeah,
describe the bee buzzing that you're talking about. So my version
yeah.
of that was when I was going in and doing my crypto research, my tokenized share research in the beginning, where I tied FTX to a lot of what we're dealing with now, and I've since refined that research and done more research on it. But my girlfriend at the time like thought I'd gone crazy because I was like, I gotta look into the Bahamas. I don't know why I need to look into the Bahamas, but I need to look into this, and I need to look into FTX, and I need to read these documents. And I started to
Yes.
find all of these
Yeah,
things.
you
Like I was
figured
just
out FTX, bro.
to them. I
You.
described it at the time. I had no idea what was happening. First off, I was thought I was like I was like I don't know what is going on, but I described it as a new
Exactly.
form of magnetism that I had never felt before, like this
You figured it
energy,
out.
this drive, this thing like
I kept tell I
pulling
kept
me, and I couldn't quite explain it.
I kept asking my husband, "Am I going cuckoo? Tell me if I'm going cuckoo, please
You
Yeah.
just
are
let
going
me
cuckoo.
know."
Oh yeah,
Yes.
there's definitely a big part of it that'll make you feel crazy, and I think that's by design as well. It's like you
Hmm.
talk about the quote unquote matrix, which you know is just society at large and all the things that you're built to consume, whether it be the TV show of the hour, or celebrity worship, or you know subliminal messages put through music, or the frequency at which the lessons are, or the music is tuned to, or the freaking 5G towers, or on and on and on and on. It's like you start to go down all these rabbit holes, and you
These
try to
people are
talk
fucking
to somebody
crazy.
about it, and it's like you're kind of speaking a different language because it's so much. And it's not that you're wrong, it's just that everybody else is so deeply conditioned. And I think that like a lot of society is structured in order to keep you in these really, really low states, because it's the higher states that's when you start communing with God, and that's when you start to understand, like if you followed the teachings of Christ, like that's a high frequency playbook. Like that is a
This
way
guy.
to raise yourself up through the
This
levels of
guy's a piece of
consciousness,
work right
at
here,
which point
bro.
you have more ability to affect the
This
simulation,
guy's a
affect
pool
reality, the
T,
fabric of reality.
big
You can
boy,
collapse the quantum
whoever.
field very quickly
He's all about
when you're a high spiritual being.
BBBY.
And
Now
if
it's
you
high spiritual
understand
play
these
with
rules and you
GameStop
are
and
part of the elite that wants to keep control over the world, you want to keep people in as low state as possible, because low vibration equals low effect. And then you feed them a bunch of bullshit that allows them to create the world that
you
you
guys are like
want.
all psychiatrists.
And again, it's like you don't know it exists until you've felt it for yourself, whether it feels like bees in your body, or like these certain unexplained
Yeah.
events, the synchronicities or whatever. But like once you start to really wake up to it, once you really,
Yeah.
really wake up to it, you
No.
can't unsee it. And it can be lonely, as it can be
Yes.
so lonely, because and that's part of it. It's like they say that God will isolate you in order to essentially heal you. And I believe that very much to be true. You have to kind of do this hard factory reset
My fault.
where
Yeah.
you isolate yourself to a degree, and you go within, and you just follow your heart, you follow your intuition, you let yourself be led. You know, the old joke is Jesus take the wheel. But it's like once you just start to look for these synchronicities and you let your intuition guide you, and you start to have that relationship with God, that's where you step into this state of flow, and doors just start to swing open for you, and everything gets easier, and you systematically start to, whether you have addiction issues, or you've got hurt from the past, or you've got relationships you need to mend, your intuition and God
These guys are
together,
fucking
call it your
Dr.
higher self,
Phil
call
and
it
a
what you want,
half, bro.
will guide you, you know, your higher self in conjunction with God, even, you know, whatever. Some people believe you have spiritual guides. Everybody needs to figure out what they feel resonates with them. And you know, my opinion is lean into it. And like why wouldn't you? It's if it's going to make you happier and easier, and like there's a whole world out there that is ultimately fueled what can be described as indistinguishable from magic, and it is run by this omnipotent source.
Couldn't
Like,
get out of there.
that is way better than paying taxes and working a 9 to 5.
I
Like, that
fucked
is
that
so
up.
much cooler.
My fault.
Like, and then and how do you
I
do
don't
it?
care.
Oh, you just basically be the best human being that you possibly can. It's like the only reason
I
to
didn't vote.
the only thing about that
The
that
hell?
would the only argument against that is so you can engage in the quote unquote pleasures of the flesh,
Yeah.
right? That's the only thing that that's the only, it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to stop doing that because it feels good, you know, or whatever.
Hmm.
But like, why wouldn't you want to be a good person? Why wouldn't you want to make people smile? Why wouldn't you want to, like, you know, help your fellow man when they're down, you know?
Yeah.
And like, there's like, love comes in so many different forms.
Exactly.
But the path to ascension and the path to having a strong relationship with
Dude, is
God
this
is,
about Bed Bath
you
and
know,
Beyond?
ultimately following the teachings of Christ, or, you know, some could say it's the Buddhist
This shit
Noble
is
Eightfold
crazy,
Path.
guys.
Like, I think that there's different ways to get um, to a strong relationship with God. I don't think God really discriminates if you're, as long as you're just being a wonderful person. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to be?
Absolutely.
I don't understand it. People talk a lot of shit about this ascension stuff, and I take a lot of shit, and it's like people try and turn it into kind of a joke, but like, I know it's real.
Hmm.
I've experienced these states, and you know, once you experience them, you end up chasing them. And again, the chasing them just looks like being a great person. So like, why would you not want to pursue that? Why would you not want to
Mm.
pursue being the
Exactly.
best version of yourself?
Exactly.
It's insane to me.
Well,
Anyways, that's my rant for the day. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
yeah, and I've always, tried to be a good person. It's just because of my background growing up, the abuse and stuff. So I've always done
Oh,
the
shit.
opposite of what
It's deeper.
I was growing up in. But I don't know if it was the passing of my mother, maybe it's the change, the changeover of time, of the age of my life, or finding GME. But
Hmm.
in this last year is when I've become more spiritual and found God, and I'm learning to lean on Him. And it's so hard because
These
I
guys are
want
never
to
going to make
take
it, bros.
I want to take the wheel back. Like, I got this. It's going good. But I know that
Yeah, they're
every
never
single
going to make
time I
it.
do, shit don't work. So, but so I'm struggling with it in the sense of just
Hmm.
trying to navigate the seas. But
Totally.
it
Well,
makes me feel so much
Why don't they
better.
just look at the fundamentals and be like, yep, that's why
yeah.
I'm invested.
Well, and it's
I'm
like,
good.
I don't know, you can't appreciate the good times without some hard. And I think that
That's
there's
crazy.
lessons in everything. And again, it's like sometimes you have to learn lessons more than once, and your path is your own, you know? And I think it's like, you know, coming back to yourself and coming back to treating yourself with kindness despite like whatever past you may have. It can be a really tough thing for people, and it's tough for me too. And it's like this world again wants to put you in a state where, you know, you are easily embarrassed, or you're easily feeling like you can be ostracized at any moment, or whatever. Um, and I don't know. I think that, you know, everybody is just the end result of many different experiences, and what you do with those experiences matters. And you can either choose to be a victim, Or ultimately, you can choose to thank the experience for what it taught you. And once you change your mindset as far as like how you're looking at these events that happen in your life, that's when you change how you feel about them. Once you change how you feel about them, you literally change the way your genes are expressed in your body, and your body starts to heal, and your neural pathways start to heal, and you can start to become the wholest version of yourself again.
Well, I've come to realize that everything that I've gone through in my life, they weren't obstacles or anything. You know, obstacles are things that get in the way. They were just they were preparations. That's all it was.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
You know, that there were no obstacles. It was preparing me because I don't know the word no. I don't know how to give up. I don't know how to stay down. I don't know how to go curl up in a corner. You know, I may do so for, you know, a couple days, but then it's like wipe the tears off and get up and you know, that's just me. I just can't do it. You know, I'm a fighter, and, you know, and I try so hard.
Amen. Yeah. Yep, we got this. We're all gonna make it. I truly believe that. And yeah, there's periods where it feels super hard. Like I said, I had one of the darkest weeks of, I'd say in the last few years. One of my darkest weeks just last week. And it was rough. It was not easy. I've been going through a lot of changes, but like you said, Alchemist, it's not obstacles, it's opportunity in a way, and it is all preparation. It's like iron sharpens iron, right? You got to have really tough experiences to be a really tough person. And I've met a lot of really, really tough people here in this play, and some of the most inspirational and kind and gentle and amazing people. And like, there's no wisdom without pain. You're not going to just come to this stuff without going
Amen.
through some things. It's like, yeah, life is earned, not given, in many, many aspects. And if you want to have a beautiful experience in this world, like, it's going to take hard work. You want to be super fit, guess what? It's going to take hard work. You want to be really smart, guess what? It's going to take hard work. You want to have a really strong relationship with God, spoiler alert, really hard work, and there are periods where it can feel like God, and it's like, again, that's that dark night of the soul. And you're just alone for a little bit, and you won't feel that presence, and the synchronicities will stop. And when that first, yeah, I asked myself if I was off the ride somehow. But you're not. You're not. It's you're always supported by unseen forces. So, I think everybody's got their own checklist of things they want to better themselves on, and I think it's really important, especially during this period of waiting, in order to like continue to purify yourself. Like, because again, if like with where much is given, much is required. And if we are about to make the kind of money that we know in our hearts we are about to make, then it's very critical, in my opinion, that we be in the best state to receive that. And I think that there's no better way to do that than to turn our own internal lead into gold. And it sucks a lot of the times, and it's like that's the path I've been trying to be on. And some days I ace it, and some days I am like, what am I doing? I feel like I've regressed 3 years
There
or
you
something.
go.
There's ups and downs, but then I remember just to trust the journey, and it's like so similar to this journey that we're on here. And I say all this stuff because like I believe strongly that there's lots of people that are feeling the same, and that they're kind of like on the path, as it were. And I put out a poll, just a quick Twitter poll not long ago, and asked how many people, like, in the last 2 years, have like had what they would call a spiritual awakening, or think they've had one. And it was like 64% of people, or 74% of people, something like that, said that they definitely had. And then there was like another 12% that said that they thought they might be having one, and like the rest of that, there were some people that said no. But then some people also clarify, well, I've had one, but it was 2 years or whatever. But I was blown away by that 86% of people in the last 2 years, during the duration of this cancellation and
Wow.
this play, have had some sort of spiritual awakening. And like, there was like 700 something responses. So
See
like,
what he's
I don't
talking
know,
about?
I'm
The
not a
cancellation
statistics
of this
nerd,
play.
so I'm
He's
not going
talking
to
about
say
Bed
like
Bath and
how
Beyond.
statistically
They're talking
significant that
about
is, or if I
GameStop.
need more samples
They
or whatever.
this
But
is
like, it
just so
struck me.
stupid.
And I think that I think everybody, to a degree, feels like there's something bigger here. And you can call it what you want. It's ultimately God, in my opinion. But yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And then it's like, if you believe that God definitely led us here, and we're all kind of going through this awakening. And it's like, well, why? And it's like if you add that into your kind of like mental toolbox of why we're here and what's kept us here and that sort of thing, that's where it starts to feel
Yeah.
infinitely big, And it's like some people will say, it's like, oh well, I've been a believer for a long time. Of course, it's God. God influences everything. But why were so many people that didn't have a relationship with God, didn't believe in this stuff, were very scientifically based, as it were, didn't get into the woo-woo at all, however you want to call it, whatever lens you want to look at it from. Is it just coincidence that we all found each
I don't
other
think so.
in this space and we all were awakened slash activated at the same time? Because here's what happens as you ascend through the levels of consciousness, you have a certain amount of
This guy
energy
sound
that
like
you can put
Michael?
into that quantum field, and you can affect that field. The higher your consciousness level, the more effect you have on the quantum field. I think the argument can be made that the Christs and the other deities of old that calibrated at a perfect 1000 on the consciousness scale that's listed in Power versus Force, the reason they were able to do miracles is because they had such a high vibration that they were able to collapse that quantum field
Huh?
instantly. And to have
This guy
so
and his
many
vibration
people
talk.
that were essentially activated and have started to ascend through levels of consciousness and
Oh
have
my
started to
God.
like shake their bad habits and that sort of thing, all kind of
This is why these losers
already
never matter.
pointed in the same direction as far as this level of reform. It's like if that
These are the
levels
people
of
who believe in PVCs,
consciousness
bro.
guide, and if the power of harnessing spiritual essence is true, then that is a very, very, very,
Neither
very
guys are going to
powerful
assassinate
force
PP.
to move that ball
And
forward
I'm not
to
calling
to
for that.
their
I'm just saying.
desired
Yeah.
reality. Because what you think, you create. Anyways, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, but
No.
from a spiritual aspect and having like Pulte come in and recommend that very specific book, which,
Oh, I missed that. Did Pulte
as
come
far
in?
as no, he
No,
didn't come in.
Pulte
I
didn't
mean, I'm
come
just
in.
coming in general, coming into
Oh,
our
oh, I
community.
thought it came this way.
And then like in, I think it was like November of 2023, he recommended a couple of
Oh, okay.
books to us, and they're very, very, very much spiritually related. And for me, they clarified a lot of things at the kind of the
Ooh,
perfect time. And I
if you have a chance,
recommend
yeah,
them to everybody.
if you can send me a DM with that, because I got here
Yeah,
in
so I'll send you a
June.
DM as
Yeah.
well, but I'll tell you just so for all the listeners here, the first one is God's Debris, which is a thought experiment by Scott Adams. He's the guy that did the Dilbert comics, and it's just
Oh, uh-huh.
basically a thought experiment around like the kind of fabric reality and how God works and how God is everything, and we just spend your lives. And then another one is Power versus Force, which is kind of this guy, uh, David Hawkins. He did a lot of kinesiology work. He basically found that our bodies can basically answer any yes or no question through a certain process that's repeatable and it's provable. Fascinating stuff, but what he's proving through that is that we're basically connected to something else. It's answering the questions. And he also goes through levels of consciousness. So he's kind of like a new age spiritual teacher. We talk about like different levels of consciousness on what he calls the scale of consciousness. And basically the scale goes from 0 to 1,000. And the way it works, and I'm gonna try and be quick and not butcher this, but the way it works, according to Dr. Hawkins, is that the vast majority of people calibrate at a level of 200. 200 is kind of like the neutral realm of consciousness, right? 200 is associated, I think, with maybe like courage or something like that. Either way, anything below 200 is negative, right? And so like 0, you're pretty much dead. 1000, you're literally God, okay? And the scale is exponential as well. So if you somehow calibrate at a level of like say 360, and you work your whole life and you work really, really hard, you may raise it a few points, maybe like you, that 2-point jump. It's enough extra power to the collective continent, as it were, to influence the decisions of many more people, to where even that 2-point jump puts back the your life significantly, as well as the world as a whole to a degree. The higher level of consciousness that you calibrate to, the more effect you have on the field. So If you're at a level of 200, you can pray and pray and pray and try and manifest or whatever. But if your actions don't line up with the level of energy that you need to put into the quantum field, then you're not going to have as much of an effect on the nature of reality. Versus if you're at like 400 on that scale, the energy that you're putting in offsets the energy of like millions of other people at level 200. And again, below is considered
This
we're
guy's
all
ridiculous.
these are so chain built. So
How does this guy have any followers? That's what I want to know.
like this 200 lost it down there. 200 body.
Thank God it's
World
breaking up.
to steer yourself
Oh,
more towards these higher
spoke
states.
too soon.
You work on these, the ancients about the
Bro, I'm sorry you guys are going through this whole conversation.
and all that led.
But it's I'm
into
playing
all the
video games.
transmutation of negative
This is what I do when I play games. I just listen to bullshit.
like something bad happening to you. As an example, it's like you could look at it from a standpoint, or look at it from what lesson is this trying to teach me, and then appreciate it, which in turn raise your vibration and raise your level. But here's the kicker, right? So it's also in this book that, and all of this stuff resonates heavily with me, and again, I'm trying to summarize like 400 pages right now in a short amount of time. So I highly recommend you read the book. Don't take my word for it. And I apologize if this is hard to follow.
No, you're fine.
But one of the interesting things is like, yeah, you can raise your level of consciousness. You can raise your level of consciousness as you go along through your life by being really intentional, but you are born with the level of consciousness. So if you have had many lifetimes and you've done all the experience and you calibrate at a level of 400, you may be able to move it to like 405 throughout your lifetime here, and that'll be your level up. But largely, you're born with that power when you come in. So I hear that, and I see how many high spiritual beings there are around here, and I see how many like good people there are that are like kind-hearted, and they
People
seem
are
to
crazy,
calibrate,
dude.
at least in my opinion, on this scale very, very high, because they're like, I don't know, they're just such good people. It's like 1 in a million kind of people,
Yeah.
and there's lots of them in this play, and then you learn about the law of attraction, which states that like energy attracts like
Yep.
energy. And then you got to think, right? Okay, well, like if they are high spiritual beings, that checks out. That means that our energy is attracting each other. That's why we have made all of these connections. That's why we're all here together, is because ultimately you could look at this, in my opinion, as a divine play that has been orchestrated through people, but in a way, and I don't care how crazy this sounds to certain people or whatever, but like if you needed to get a group of people that are spread all across the world that resonated at a certain frequency, if you needed them to get together, you would need a process. And whether it's God doing it or whether it's man knowing what they're doing or what,
Oh,
is up for debate. My personal opinion is that it's God. However, this is what that process would look like. And you wouldn't activate them until they were deep in it. So many people, again, 86% of people out of the 700 people that responded said that they were like, quote unquote, had this awakening, their awakening, call it an activation, call it an awakening, call it what you want, in the last 2
And
years.
it's crazy
And I hear all that and yeah,
because it's global. It's not just the United States or
totally.
Canada. It's
Yep.
global. It's like we all kind of just activated around 3 to 2 to
Yep.
it's like it was like with mine it was a slow activation, and then all of a sudden this past year was like bam, and now I
Yep.
can't I can't unsee stuff. I can't like, and I tried to explain, and and people were like, no, but CBS, no,
Yep.
no, 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 no. Do your
So on
research.
that note, Alka, like on the explaining part, especially with like the spiritual stuff, and this is one of the notes from Power versus Force as well, is one of the things they talk about is when you achieve the higher states, right? So when you ascend to these higher states, embodying peace, love, whatever, not only do you like get this intense feeling of bliss and peace in your heart, but you can see the lower states for what they are. You can see that they're traps or what have you. However, if you're in the lower states and you haven't ever ascended to the higher, then you can't see the higher. You don't know they're there. So to that point, if you are trying to talk to people that have never been there, they're just going to think you're
Yeah,
crazy. because they've never been to they haven't their mind hasn't been where yours has. They haven't been to these places. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that's where it starts to get really, really lonely because you find that your circle starts to get smaller and
Yes.
smaller. You find that the things that used to give you happiness no longer do. You find yourself wanting to isolate and go
Yep.
out in nature.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then you start to kind of like follow your intuition.
Come
You
on,
start
this
mending
fucking tower.
relationships. You start doing all these
Yep.
things, and you may not quite know why.
Exactly.
But you just start doing them, or like,
Well, you know
and
what?
it's
It's
yeah,
funny.
and it can be really
Well,
confusing.
like this last year, when I was, like I told you, and I was trying to explain to my husband, the bees buzzing in my body feel and all this other stuff, and I said that it just feels like I have to jump on this. If I don't, I'm gonna miss it. Like something's telling me go 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 go. It's like get on, get on. And he
Yep.
wouldn't understand it. And every time I'd try to tell him little things about awakenings, he would just kind of like look at me. But over the last
He's smart.
year, it's kind of like he's awakening, and he's like, "Oh crap, I
Yep.
see it."
Well, here's the other thing, right? So this is the last thing I'll say about this, probably hopefully for a few minutes. But the other thing that is interesting, and it's not such a threat to the system, you know, whether you want to look at it from a science aspect or a spiritual aspect, your spiritual aspect would call it your aura, whereas science would call it the electromagnetic field around your body. However, science would say that everything is energy, vibration, and frequency, right? Spiritual modes also say that, right? However, when you have an awakened individual, this is what's part of the threat to the system. As more people awaken, they start to broadcast a stronger electromagnetic signal. And whether or not you understand it or not, you have intuitive abilities, you have some psychic ability through reading people's nerves, like children specifically have this innate ability well intact, and then society eventually beats it out and like it's too much garbage to think about. But like if it tells you somebody's creepy, you should probably believe them. And kids have a pretty strong intuitive sense about people, especially. So
Yo, this
it's the
is
same reason
crazy.
that when somebody walks into a room that is really, really low vibe, they're just a bad person, or they're having a
Oh,
horrible day, or they're like grief stricken, whatever it may be, if they're in these low vibrational states, you interact, your
if you guys
electromagnetic
ever say this
fields
shit to me
interact and they
about
merge
low
with one another, and you pick
vibrations,
up on that, and it
about
can lower
any of
your
this shit,
field as well.
hey, if you guys,
However,
oh, you guys have
the
been watching
inverse
at
is
all,
also
huh?
true. There are people out there that
Oh
are
man,
very high vibrational, and when they walk into
my
the room
bad,
lights up.
bros.
The energy can shift,
Had
and
no
and
idea.
things change, and it kind of
Here I
like
am,
they leave the room, and everybody kind of
having the
feels better
game of
than
my
they did before
lifetime,
they
and you
came
guys
in,
missed it all.
right? And what I'm getting at here is if you are vibrating at a super high frequency and you have a very strong electromagnetic field, and there are inner ways to do that as far as like your inner voice and your inner spirituality and like, what you're focusing on, but there's also physical ways to do that. Like having a strong heart will increase your electromagnetic field. So like exercise is important, right? Taking care of the avatar, as it were. But when you are vibrating high and you interact with people that are lower, the inverse is also true from the person that's really depressed. You can lift people up. And as you lift people up, there's a real chance that eventually, especially through enough exposure, that they will start to achieve these higher states of consciousness. And therefore, it may trigger awakenings in them. So it's like there is a spiritual aspect to it. There's also a scientific aspect to it. And the two aren't at odds with each other, but Alka, I think that's what's happening, right? So
Right.
as you start to
I
kind of like
don't
raise your
care. I hate
vibe,
TF.
you're also inherently bleeding out, as it were, their vibrational frequency, and your
I had
husband's
no
picking up
idea.
on it,
You guys couldn't
which is
see
cool.
me.
Yeah, 'cause him and then my brother as well. Because my brother will tell me something, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Fool! I told you that 2 years ago." And he's
yeah,
like, "I'm just now seeing this." He's like,
yeah,
they pulled the wool over my eyes, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm telling you, just do
yeah.
your research, and
I
you'll
think
see it."
exactly. I think the Great Awakening is real, and it's like once you understand that kind of chain effect, as it were, where it's like as more people awaken, as they get around other people that aren't awakened, they will, in many cases,
Start
eventually
to.
awaken them. It's like that, in my opinion, is why nothing can stop what's coming. Is because
That's right.
the elites and the creation of the Fed and
This
this
shit
like
is
kind of
ridiculous.
techno
I can't even
slavery system
concentrate
we've
on my game.
had, and like all the all the
Oh,
things that have been
I'll be right
perpetrated
back.
against us, people are starting to see through that veil now, and they're starting to reconnect with the values that matter and the values that we're meant to have, whether it be, you know, strong family or fostering inner peace or questioning our monetary system. And as more people do that, again, this chain reaction can't stop. It's like in some ways we all just get to sit back and watch the show. And I see Michael's up here. What's up, Michael? But then we've got people as well that are in here like fighting the fight.
Well,
Like Michael's been doing all kinds of crazy research and like very, very deep digs on stuff.
amen.
Hey Michael, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Yeah, it's been a crazy adventure trying to figure out what the heck's going on all different levels.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like everybody's got their own little rabbit holes, right? And it's like you catch a ton of shit for like looking into the Epstein stuff, but like your connections are undeniable. So it's like I don't I mean, you know
Okay.
what I mean? Like if you're being logical about it, it's like there's enough smoke there where
Okay,
it's
guys,
like you
hold
may
on.
not have every single detail right, but
First.
you're on to something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shut up, bro. For this guy's talked for a mile, bro. Hey, I'm gonna tell you guys something. If I gotta deal with it, you gotta deal with it.
Yeah. So
I
that's
can't.
key
If I,
for, like,
I'm just telling you,
And Luke Capital.
this is terrible. Oh,
well, and Luke Capital.
hey, by the way, TFT, your boy, right? Your boy, TFT, me. You know, the greatest in the history of mankind, TFT. I got the plat already. Season just started, by the way. Everybody knows the season just started, and I'm already at plat. So let's go get it. Oh, what's up, dude?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Hey, can you hear me? They can
I've
hear
been
you.
here a while listening to everyone, and it's just fantastic stuff. I
Shut the hell up.
related to everything everyone said, and kind of wanted to echo to them. But I see a lot of them are gone now. But
Thank God.
that first person that came up, Neha, I wish she was still here, but her story sounded a lot like mine, where like I got into the GameStop play back in January 21, but from then I did some talking on Reddit a little bit along the way, but I was following Bed Bath situation since Cohen invested in it without speaking for like, I don't know, 8 months or something. And I was on the PP Show subreddit. I was just lurking, and I still feel like a lurker. I still think of myself like a lurker. But I really resonate with what she said, which was that, you know, I think we can all tell, everyone here, everyone that got in, everyone that put their money on the line, you know, put their skin in the game, became the man in the arena instead of just someone on the outside barely looking in. We all know this is fucking important. This whole thing that's going on. This is not nothing. This is not a little something. Besides the money that's going to be coming, this is a massive change. This is the kind of stuff that you read in history books.
Okay,
Like
what are we talking
it
about?
would have its own chapter, in my opinion, because it's the turning point. It's the inflection point for so much in markets, and also, in my opinion, politics, which is another thing I resonated with Good Vibes. I talked to him a lot. He's a fantastic guy, and he and I have the same exact. We all have such similar stories in different ways. I hated politics. I mean, I still hate politics. It's a mess. It's just like humanity's fallen nature arguing with each other. But I thought that politics was totally separate from this play. And then slowly I woke up to the fact that no, unfortunately it's inextricable. It absolutely affects it, and this is absolutely going to affect it back. And Michael, you've done such good digging on that. Sean, who is here, I met him in person at a couple of the one of the events
Oh, they went to
that
an
Pulte
event.
had planned. And the first time I saw him, he's a huge guy. He's really tall. And as soon as I saw him with the cowboy hat on, and I was just like, wow, I'm going to have nothing in common with this guy. But over the course of a few days talking to him, I found that we both have very, very similar, like deep core values and conviction and drive, and we both have like the same sort of self-appointed mission, which is to try to help and root out the deceptions and the manipulation and the gaslighting that objectively bad actors, objectively horrible doing people who are employed by horrible entities and people, that they have, and they continuously try to perform amidst this community and amidst this broader saga that's going on. Because again, this is fucking important. I mean, if you didn't know or believe in any of the DD that everyone has done,
Nope.
the sheer simple fact, like Famous said, the sheer fact that these bad actors are here and clearly trying to divide people and you know, character assassinate people out of the community, the sheer fact they're here tells you something is happening. They would not be here if nothing was going on.
These
or if
are the
no
guys
money was going to be
distracting the
coming out of
community.
this at the other end.
It's
You
crazy.
know, they just wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be hired to be here. So
yeah, because guys wouldn't
that's
promote GameStop,
you know,
but
confirmation bias for you.
talk down on Bed
But
Bath & Beyond.
I think it's no accident, like others have said. It's no accident. It's not random that we're all here. Everyone that I've spoke to and gotten to know, we all have the randomest, quote unquote, random story about how we happened upon hearing about this stuff and then got involved. And all of it boils down to very, very personal character traits we have. Like very certain things, very deep-seated things that like nobody else even knows. Like these are like secret things that people don't know, but when you talk to them long enough and you find out, it's like something happened to draw us here through secret means that like nobody else would know. And it's not random in my opinion.
Definitely
I
not.
I grew up in a Christian family. I went to church every Sunday. You know, I was raised with a very God-believing, you know, upbringing. But then in my early adulthood, I realized at a certain point around like college, wait a second, like I don't think I really even have faith of my own. I was just trusting in my elders, like my parents and other parents, adults in the church that I trust because they have a lot of wisdom clearly, and they're very well put together people. They got their shit straight. Like I just trusted them, but I didn't have faith of my own really. So there was a period of years where I just walked away from God, and I was just like, yeah, I must have deluded myself just like they did. Screw all that. And I turned to science, and I tried to learn everything I could about what science had to say instead, about the universe, about, you know, how the fuck did all this get made? Okay, so Big Bang, evolution, how did we come to be? I read into all that shit. Macro, micro evolution, everything I could find. And what I found was science doesn't have all the answers. In fact, science purposely, it's very clear there's an insecurity at the top of the academic field in science. There's an absolute insecurity and unwillingness and stubbornness and fear to even entertain the idea that maybe a being created all this stuff. Because they don't have a fucking answer for the Big Bang. Okay, sure. By the way, I believe in the Big Bang. Science and religion don't have to be mutually exclusive. I think a being snapped his fingers and made it. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. And evolution could have been a mechanism, a tool that he created so that things come to be the way they were. And he
Ray,
could have
that's
guided
funny,
it.
Ray.
Anyway,
That's funny,
you know,
Ray.
I just think, and many others have said, and we see signs everywhere, it's so
yeah, dude.
statistically unlikely, incredibly ridiculously unlikely, that the things that have brought people here did. And the people that are here, turns out we have such similar values. Like the people that I met at those Pulte events, I can't believe, like Famous and others have said, we just believe the same things. We have the same core values. We want the same things for the world. So many of us are here just trying to like help families, or we legitimately have like a good heart, at least good intentions. And this whole thing, another thing, this process, Famous wrote a post last night, a short one, about how like difficult and insane this whole saga has been. Totally agree. This is a refining fire. You know how you make gold better? How you purify gold? fire, intense heat. That's what this whole process has been. If someone tried to create a more emotionally, mentally disturbing 4-year saga, for some of 4 years, for some 2 years, doesn't matter when or how you got here. If someone tried to make a more disturbing situation for everyone that got involved one way or the other and then put their money on the line, I don't think you could have done much better than what we've gone through. And I think we're at like the very cusp of the climax of this thing. And it's not random. There's just,
Well,
yeah,
he said
I'll get off
climax,
the
bro.
soapbox. But
I like that.
there's so many people here. The people at the events, by the way, those, you find out how real people are. The baddies don't come, or the few that do, they can't get anything done. I could see people trying to stir up trouble, and I ignored them, and they couldn't do anything because there are so many good shareholders, genuine people here, and they overwhelm the bad that wants to come in and fuck it all up. So stick together, look at DD, look for sources. Don't break each other down. There's so much negativity everywhere. No one needs to add to it. Just look the other way. Just ignore it.
Amen.
And then go to lift people
I
up
think
instead.
Amen, brother. Dude, that was like epic. I'm gonna clip that later. I'm gonna listen to it as I go to sleep because
That was
amazing.
epic.
Um, and I think in general, like, just comment on that second. But down. Like, I think that is a good way to immediately see somebody's
Painful,
intentions.
bros.
It's like, who are the people that are building and who are the people that are destroying? And who are the people that are like tearing down others and aren't doing a thing to put peace in people's heart, or to add clarity to any situation, or or just don't have good intentions, right? And I've never seen it at a Pulte event, but I've seen it a lot online,
You call them Pulte events, huh?
So anyways, dude, that was epic.
Pulte,
And
he deleted
it's just
all the history of
until
them.
mathematically impossible. That's one phrase that like kept cropping up in my head early on in my awakening. It's like, it was just like I got unplugged from the Matrix. At least that's how it felt. I felt like Neo, like like what is going on? Oh God, it's all a lie,
That was funny.
But yeah, and then all the synchronicities hit really hard, and it's just like
There was a joke in
hit
there
you and they
somewhere.
resonate with you and they help guide you on your journey, and they tend to be like markers. And yeah, this journey is nothing short of epic. Also, anybody that wants to jump in, just jump in at any point. We're just spitballing here. There's no real agenda. MDN, I don't think we've spoken before. And I see Rubber Pups up here as well. What's up, guys? You guys there? You of you?
I hope not.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, we can now.
Yep.
Hey.
Yeah, hey guys. I've been a part of this community since the GME days, and I love what you guys are talking about, and I wanted to chime in. It's my first time speaking on a space, so I'm a little nervous.
Welcome up, dude.
What
Thank you.
Don't be nervous. We're all just a bunch of friends hanging out. You're welcome up here, dude. We're just people on the internet, man. Nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Well,
this is crazy.
I can resonate with everything that you guys are talking about. I haven't heard the entire space, but just the most recent speaker. My story, this has definitely been a spiritual awakening for me. And the synchronicities are just overwhelming. And I feel so grateful to be where I am with the positions I've built. God, I don't even know where to begin.
How many shares you got?
Part of the reason I haven't really been more vocal part of the community is, like a lot of us, I was broke, just flat broke, didn't have internet, didn't have a phone, could only barely listen in to some of the PP show stuff and other, spaces on X, just because I had limited access. And, and I never reached out and let people know that, because I didn't want to seem like I was, looking for a handout or any of that stuff. I was, but all of this has been me rehabilitating myself. And it all started about 7 years ago when I got sober.
Shocker.
And that was definitely the start of my journey. Yeah, thank you. And it was with a year.
Congrats, bro.
Year or two under my belt of sobriety that I first kind of stumbled across the GameStop story. And like a lot of us, I was kind of late to it. The price run up had already kind of occurred, so I bought in near the end. But everything about the story, about the market injustice and all the shenanigans, the nefarious stuff going on Wall Street, all of that really hit a nerve with me. And kind of to the previous speaker who was talking about how we all have we do similar core values or similar things about us. It was something about this opportunity to kind of something that I could understand in a way that I felt like I could get engaged and have a voice and kind of fighting back against a great injustice. And it's not just the injustice of the financial markets, but to the larger point that you guys have been talking about, this spirituality and everything else. My own story is that when I was a kid, I was sexually abused, and so I've always had and my abuser was a member of the church and also a member of the Boy Scouts and all that. And so,
Fuck,
I've
dude.
always had a real institutional distrust of institutions. And so I think that was part of, and then also just in my trauma, I became hypervigilant and always looking for patterns. And so I think kind of what I brought to this table very early on was I learned the lesson from what was going on with GameStop. And I saw the opportunity that this was most likely going to happen again with other highly shorted stocks in the basket, as we've all talked about. And I just became a very early believer in Bed Bath & Beyond and a few others, but mostly Bed Bath & Beyond.
Sheer ignorance. Okay, I'm sorry for his experience that he went through in life, but to merge what he went was. Oh, and Michael is here talking. Has that been Michael the whole time? That's how I knew it was him. Oh God. Oh yes. This explains so much right now. I had no idea that was I thought it sounded like him. Oh, these guys are just a bunch of crooks, dude. These guys are a bunch of has-beens. They have no idea what they're talking about. Don't mix in your failed investments when you've done zero due diligence outside of it. Like they literally kept the lid on it, guys. Block this, block that. Don't talk about this.
I went
Ugh.
in big. I went in big with my
Yeah.
last 55K.
55.
I have a pretty great low cost basis, and I've just got a killer position. And I've had, as others have coined the phrase, I've had unwavering conviction from the very beginning. By the time I started chiming in, and by the time I started listening to stuff like the PP show and whatever, I'd already, my position was already built. And I wasn't even necessarily, it was great hearing people figure out the mechanics of what was happening, but it wasn't like I had any doubt at any point. All they were doing was kind of filling in the detail for something that, I felt like I'd already figured out. So, yeah, obviously it's taken a lot longer than any of us thought it would, but it makes sense. And I think even a couple of years ago, I kind of realized that there was going to be this mandatory waiting period. And I almost wonder if we're also kind of waiting for certain other companies to come along in their own respective Chapter 11s so that it all kind of hits at once. But anyway, this is just kind of rambling.
Crazy,
I'm
dude.
saying everything that you guys have
No,
already
you're
said.
good, man.
I wanted to just kind of, have a voice because, like I said, for the last couple of years, you guys may see my account on X. Once in a blue moon, I'll write something or do a repost of something someone else did. But for the most part, I've kept my mouth shut. And but I'm a part of the community too. So thank you for everyone who's been sharing
But
over
yeah,
the
man.
last several years.
This dude lost 55,000. He didn't even
That's
know
all I
it.
want to say.
Welcome
Thanks.
up, and thanks for
He has no
Thank
idea.
you. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
your story, and
speaking
thanks
up,
for
man.
coming up and speaking, man.
Who's gonna tell him?
And coming out with, like, I mean, people, right? Plus, but we all have this. Everybody's story is really, really different. It's been so awesome today, like hearing from a few different people. Some I knew, and in the end, this is our first time speaking, but it's nice to talk to you, man. And again, I appreciate you coming up and telling your story because it's like I think that there's a lot of us that kind of have similar ideas about it, but like if you're not vocal about like what's really going on here and you're not like feeling like participating, then it's easy for nefarious actors to come in and steer the narrative. So I think it's important for us to talk. I don't know, I think it's amazing. I think it's just so crazy how everything just lines up. I think that everybody listening here probably had a pretty rough life, and that takes many forms, but like again, it's like
Rough life.
there's training in the trauma, as they as they say. Do they say it? I don't think they say that. But I said it. But dude, thanks for coming up and thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Somebody sent a super chat. I'm gonna say thank
Arius,
you.
if
It
you
was a
want to jump in there?
$5 super chat. I didn't see it,
I was just gonna say if they don't
but
say that, they should.
thank you.
But something
Right.
MDN just
I
said,
like it.
and thank you so much, MDN, for coming up to speak for maybe the first time. And like Neha did earlier, I had the same urge that she had that made her finally speak up when mine was like in 2022. But I realized, holy shit, like this thing is going to be so big. It's going to be so monumental and important in reality in the world. It's going to make such big waves. I don't want to just have been a lurker looking in without taking part, saying anything at all, because I know I'll regret it later if I don't. Like, and I wanted to talk to people finally, even though, I'm an introvert. I don't know how often people can tell, but I'm shy, I'm awkward. I do fine in small groups of people in person, but when there's big groups in person or big groups like on here, it's really terrifying to me because I don't know when to pipe in, or I just sit there and say nothing. But like, this is so important, and it's a joy to participate. It's a joy to speak to others, and as soon as you do, you find out how much common ground we all actually have. It's
Yes,
incredible how different the people I've met here
you guys all
are.
have
Like, they're
common
people
ground.
that if I met them any other way,
You guys all lost your
I don't
money.
think we would have found common ground. I wouldn't have known. They're not the kind of people that I would think I would talk to or something. So, but even though we're so different and from such different walks of life and such different careers and stuff, we do have common ground in our core beliefs, and that is really special. The people that I've met here, and I encourage anyone to speak up. Send some DMs. You don't have to speak publicly. I make a ton of these friends on the side in DMs, and that's a way to connect with each other. Yeah, thanks to all the lurkers, that do speak up. I can promise you, you won't be sorry if you ever did. There's a lot of love here. There's a lot of good people that are happy to meet others.
Amen, dude. I really enjoy and if you guys can hear that, I may have to run here in a minute, but it's not so bad right now. I have to go outside when I host these spaces because I'm in the middle of nowhere. My internet's not the best, so I go outside so I can catch a little bit of a cell signal, but it's just barely enough to make it work. But yeah, I think the communication, the open communication, and hearing from everyone is important, because I think that a hard part of this play is kind of like the war of attrition style. It's like time in a lot of ways is kind of our worst enemy, because we've been in this waiting room so long and we don't know how much longer it's going to go. We can speculate, we can have hype dates, whatever, but those can be like kind of death by a thousand cuts after a certain point. And I think there's a lot of people out there. There's like certain handful of people that like the community follows or whatever. Um, However, like hearing from regular people to me is like just like everyone hearing from the more people the better, just because like I think there's a lot of people that oftentimes feel alone because what they're feeling may or may not necessarily be like in the narrative, as it were, that's like consistently permeating itself through the community. And just hearing from new friends like MDN, and others, Alka, it's good to hear you again on the space. And just I don't know, I think it's cool, and it's cool to see how everybody got here, and it's a good reminder for me that like we're still in this, but like we're in it together, and we know in our hearts we're going to win. And like there's been too many things that have happened for there to be nothing here. So it's like if we're all here for a reason, and we're all like our lives have been shaped in such a way in order to allow us to do what's next, and all of that's really important, then we just kind of have to lean into this process as much as we can, and in the best way that we can. And in my opinion, that involves speaking your truth, and being authentic, and like you said, Spurious, lifting each other up and not putting each other down. I think that bad behavior should be called out, but ultimately in a constructive way. And I feel that anybody that's doing character attacks on anyone for any reason that are like, based in lies, it should be suspect. It's like we've seen it throughout this period, and I think that we all just need to, try and take care of each other. And that's like I've not aced that 100% of the time. I've fallen victim to my own ego and my own impulses and what have you, and I fired back at quote unquote shills when I shouldn't have, like the people that have been attacking us relentlessly for a long time, and it's like it's tough, man. So it's great to hear from you guys. I guess is all I'm really trying to say there. Rubber Pup, I see you. What's up? How you doing?
Yeah, I haven't done this in a year, so I want to quickly do it. The best part of waking up is coffee with a pop. I just had to do that. But for a long time, for me, I'm a person that was just a huge believer of the naked shorts on GME. And essentially, I was one that would buy GME at, I think it was $260 a share, $240, $220, all the way down. I averaged all the way down through the split dividend and everything, and I just kept purchasing. Especially, the awkward part is every time it's like they knew I had a paycheck or something. Because every time I went to purchase, it was always at the peak of the day, and it would just dip even further down every time is when I purchased. It's just the coincidences that I notice in general. Maybe it's bad luck. Maybe I'm just a bad purchaser. I don't know. Don't care. But I was standing up against corruption. That's mainly my thing. And if I'm wrong, if there is no corruption or anything, so be it. But when it came to Bed Bath & Beyond, I like calling Ryan Cohen my daddy. But when my daddy sold shares in Bed Bath & Beyond and it was all over the news, I was like, no, I'm buying. They're corrupt. I'm buying shares of Bed Bath & Beyond. So that's what I did. And I bought and I bought and I put a whole $7,000 into it, and then it went bankrupt or whatever, and our shares were canceled. So for me, I don't know if I want to consider it anger issues or maybe getting angry or something, but it's more of the lines I'm frustrated with what is being allowed in the world, what people are getting away with, if it's all true, and how it's affecting everybody's lives. That's the number one thing that irritates my soul, because I'm not the only one that's.
Yeah.
But in general,
it's a gross injustice,
Yeah, I want to solve all these problems. I want this fixed and moved on so we can look at a brighter future. Well, my vision is like, what's the future going to look like? Because the last 20 years, I haven't seen really any growth in our country. I haven't seen anything really spectacular to say, oh, wow, we have a new city somewhere and it has a huge population or something. Or, oh, wow, something's built.
Yeah, things just keep getting worse.
It's all that kind of stuff that I want to see that come back. And we have this crap going on in everybody's lives that's affecting everybody's lives that we're put on a halt because of all this corruption is the way I look at it. But in general, that's pretty much the reason why I'm in the GME play, the Bed Bath & Beyond play, because I believe in one person. I want to see a brighter future. I want change. And I'm tired of the working 5 days a week, 40 hours, and hopefully there's a possibility in changing that aspect too. Sorry.
Amen, brother.
That's it.
I think there definitely is. No, you're great. I think there's going to be a massive shift in wealth right at the time that we're going to develop or disclose essentially what amounts to like space age tech. I think that automation and AI ultimately are a good thing, and that everything's about to become so cheap to produce that everybody's going to be able to have whatever they want. And we're all entering this kind of golden age, truly, of like prosperity. And I think that the spiritual stuff is all tied in with that as well. But yeah, I think we're all meant to be here, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I don't mean
many stories like yours,
Yeah, and I don't mean like I don't want to work at all. It's not that aspect at all. It's I want to do what I want to do.
I get it.
I want to do what I want to do. I want to make God work in peace. Do it when I want to in my own time, and maybe not be lazy.
Well, there's something really messed up. Yeah, it's not laziness. It does nothing for your purpose. If you're working like this job that you ultimately really don't like, that doesn't fulfill you at all, but you need it because your rent is 50% of your income, like that is slavery, right? And you got to buy a car to get to the job, and like yeah. Okay, well there you go. So like, and then you got to buy a car to get to the job to pay for the car. Like, it's all just it's messed up, and it's like it doesn't have to be this way. And that's when you go back to the Fed and you go back to like, who's been actually running things behind the scenes for all this time. And it's like, okay, so it's basically a slave system with lots of distractions. And that's in my opinion where we're at, and what we're seeing right now is kind of the systematic undoing of that. And I think everything that we're all doing here is an important part of that process, because like, we've got all these little nodes that know like what's kind of going on, and like the more that we talk about it, the more that we spread this info, and the more we, find ways to give our people in our lives a little bit more information whenever they're ready. Like all of that is cumulative, and to me, it points to a better future ultimately.
100%.
And I truly believe that, and I think that we're all meant to be here.
100%.
Yeah.
Call
Welcome back,
it
Michael.
anger, call it frustration. I call it stupidity, and how we allowed it.
Yeah.
Even like, no offense, but when other people from other countries came over and I got to like talk to them from time to time, the famous quote that I've noticed for some reason, Americans are so stupid, is what they always said. And I'm like, why? But I think about it now, I'm like, now I understand. We let this stuff happen. And
well, and
Hey,
it's not, I mean, and fair enough. Yeah, what's up, Spurious?
just real quick, Rubber Pub. I appreciate everything you're saying, and there is such a thing as righteous anger. And when Jesus turned over the tables in the temple, it wasn't pointless. It needed to be done.
There you go. Yeah. Michael, welcome
Crazy,
back.
bro.
Welcome back, sir.
Thanks.
And Jin Hoon, good to see you.
It's crazy.
Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to thank all you guys for hosting these spaces and speaking up and giving us a voice and something to listen to, because it's been a long ride. It's been brutal for a lot of us, and we've been waiting for this thing to actually come to fruition. And all we do is listen to you guys, and you guys, give us a glimmer of hope and bring us to our senses,
Shit, man. I think we're all just out here trying our best, and I appreciate that. And it's like, I don't think I'm doing anything special. This is for me just as much as it is for anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I
The
need
amount of
this
attacks you
connection
guys are
too,
getting, you,
Oh, yeah, well,
Michael, like, it's fucking brutal. It's bullshit.
yeah.
So thank you
Yeah,
for standing
it's
up, man.
interesting. Yeah, man, it's like, I don't know. I just, at this
It's
point,
not
I just don't
random.
care. You know what I mean? I just don't give a
More
shit.
No, I'm
power to you,
hiding.
man.
So, like, yeah, thanks, man. It's like, love me or hate me. I'm just gonna be me at this point. And yeah, I
Oh, was he,
appreciate you
bro?
noticing.
I'm
And
gonna do a whole show
it just
after
it is
this.
what it is.
I just
And
been listening,
I
relaxing. My
got
game's
other
almost
things to
over.
deal with, and it's
I'm
like I love
gonna
hearing
die
from my
right here. This
friends, and I
guy's gonna
love hanging
kill
out
me.
with my friends, and like I've missed this kind of connection. So I'm excited to do it, man. So thanks for coming up and speaking and sending the love, man. I really appreciate it.
I actually had a question for you and Michael and all those guys, and Spurious. The old QSIP, like, I know Ramez had made comments about how they're negotiating
How does
the old
Ramez know
QSIP. Are we
anything what the
coming back?
company's
It's
doing?
not coming back.
It's crazy, bro.
Well, from what I understand, the QSIP is going to hold all those old shorts. And I just think it depends on how the play's structured. I don't know one way or the other whether or not they're going to utilize the old QSIP, but I think if they do, that equals a mega squeeze, right? And then the question becomes, are they going to allow a mega squeeze? Because like for me personally, like I don't want to win if everybody else has to lose. And I feel kind of in my heart of hearts that the people that are orchestrating this thing from behind the scenes, they are finding a way where we get absolutely filthy rich and people don't lose their pensions. But as far as the QSIP goes, I don't know. I think it's very probable. I think it's possible. But I don't know for certain. I don't think there's any good way to know.
I agree. I also think like the QSIP is being used, whether we just get cash or we get cash and equity. They are using that QSIP. That's what like our proof of ownership is attached to. So
Yes.
that will stay whether we get shares. I have no idea because like I've thought a lot about it. Like I don't know. I mean, we could get, basically cash and then warrants for Teddy or something, right? Like I don't know whether they're going to want to let it rip. I feel like it'd cause a ton of chaos in the market. I feel like they're just either way. I feel like they're negotiating it, and the strength of our negotiation increases each time our side gets more power, right? So like, even just today, the George Soros main prosecutor just stepped down and left, and apparently there was some chaos in their like law firm and stuff. So, those are the people that are shorting this. Those are the people on the other side of the trade. And so it's like, the weaker they are, the stronger our negotiating ability is. There are other factors as well. I really think that the Russia situation is kind of one of the main ones. It's like because I just found out one of the people in the Epstein book and whatnot is this oligarch in Russia who was starting the Open Russia Society, in conjunction with George Soros. And so it's like, each, and once we make a deal with Putin, and then the Open Russia Society is completely now disconnected, because even until now, that Open Russia is connected to the globalists, to the World Economic Forum, which is connected to BlackRock and all these things. So, once Trump establishes a connection officially with Russia, well, that puts a lot of power in the side. So it's the globalist pedophiles versus the nationalists. Everyone make their own nation better. Groups. And so our side, I feel like, is gaining a lot of momentum, and that negotiation could go up and up. And part of the negotiation might be like, yeah, we're gonna give back shares and let it rip, and margin call people. I feel like a bigger cash payout in warrants is just a lot cleaner of a way to unwind this. But I'm sure Ryan Cohen has it all planned out. I mean, he wrote it into freaking 2 series of children's books, for goodness sake. So I'm sure they have it all planned out, and things are going very well.
Thanks,
I agree.
guys.
I feel 100% with that. Yeah, man. Thank you, Jen. Good to see you, dude. I think it's the first time. Is this the first time we've spoken? I feel like it is.
Yeah, I haven't really been vocal because
Cool.
I don't have much to say.
Yeah, I see you all around these parts, dude. I see you post a lot, and I resonate with a lot of what you say, and I appreciate you, dude.
Thank you, sir. Same to you, man.
Good to have you around, man. All right, my friends. I am standing out here in the rain. Michael, it's not because we started talking Epstein that I'm ending the space, I promise. But I do need to
Do you
go
have
get
any
ready for
rivers?
work and all that good stuff.
Do you got any rivers nearby? Is there a waterfall coming?
Any
I hear it's raining over
any
by.
rivers? Don't go chasing waterfalls, you guys. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
God.
Yeah, it's raining pretty hard here, and I'm just standing out, kind of enjoying it for the moment. But my phone's also about to die, so it's been a good space. Thank you to all the speakers. Really appreciate you guys coming up. And if you guys like the space and you want to share it, that'd be cool. I'm not gonna hound you too hard. I'm gonna try and keep these going. I always feel good at the end of them. I've never been like, I really regret hosting that space. So I'll probably try and do more. I would love to have you guys there, and it's great to see again all the speakers: Alka, Michael, Spirius, Rubber Pup, Jinhoon, MDN, everybody else that came up. Challenged by Krill, thank you for coming and saving me. I always appreciate the first speakers so much, because that first moment of like starting a space, like, is anybody going to join? Like, oh, is anybody going to come up and talk to me? I'm gonna have to like just talk to myself for a few minutes until they get tired of hearing that. Or, anyways, love you guys. Anybody want to say anything before we
Love
head
you.
out?
No, just
All
it was
right,
good to hear. It's good to see you. Good
good
to
to see
hear,
you. Thanks
Steve.
for coming up.
Love you all.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. I really enjoyed our conversation. Love you, Michael. Good to
Yeah.
see you, man. Hey, Michael, let's do you want to do like a space soon about like all your discoveries? Because like, I don't know, I don't have a chance to dig in super deep. And I would like to hear more.
Yeah, we could do it maybe Saturday or Sunday. Do an Epstein space.
Yeah, I'll have my people reach out to your people,
All
and
right.
we'll figure something out.
Sounds
All
good.
right, love you guys.
Love
Love
you
you
Have a
too.
guys.
great evening, afternoon,
Love you.
Bye.
whatever. And I'll see you next one. Peace.
I'll have my
Peace.
people reach out to your people. Like, you're so successful. You have people. Dude, you have internet nowhere. You just said you're abandoned in the middle of the Middle East or wherever the hell you are, and you got no internet, cell towers. You got to do shit outside. It's raining. I can't be out here. I can't be live streaming on a Twitter Spaces call. You want to do that Epstein talk? Which one? Which one? The one where Michael came over and grabbed all the DD? Is that what you want to do? Michael's now talking about Leon Black? Is that what we're doing? Yeah, we know. We know. Hi, guys. I talked about Leon Black 3 years ago, talked about Epstein, and now Trump hiring Leon Black's son, yes, and or even seeing the connections between Apollo buying up all the debt of Twitter, X. No, go look at it. Pimco and Apollo buy up all the shit. Oh, no, wait a minute. Hold up. I didn't even know that was going to happen right now. Hold on. How are you ready for this, Marantz? Trump picks Apollo co-founder's son for the DFC after firm shows interest in X debt. Huh. You mean to tell me it was quid pro quo? This whole time, Apollo was buying in and saving X's debt to give them valuation. Listen, to give them valuation for the leverage of it. Now, I'm going to explain this to you for all you guys out there that don't know what I'm talking about. Your boy Elon Musk gave the debt, okay, with a promissory note. If you buy this debt from me on X, I'm going to allow you to come into my AI people, okay? Look at this right here. The debt sale significantly blustered X's financial situation, enabling Musk's AI Ventures, XAI, to acquire the platform at a $45 billion valuation late last month. The valuation is a stark reversal from the company's struggles since Musk's $44 billion purchase on October 22nd of X itself, right? Now watch this. The reason why that's possible is because an unspecified amount of X's debt at 97 cents to the dollar, part of a broader sale of billions in debt, financed Musk's 22 acquisition of the platform, also involved companies like Pimco and Citadel. This debt signifies whatever. What I'm trying to tell you is this. You'll find it here somewhere. We just got to read it. That Apollo's interest in purchasing debt tied Musk acquisition of the social media platform X. And why? Because he made a promise, guys. He made a promise that they would be allowed to go ahead and invest their money into his AI company, okay? His AI whatever. And I have that somewhere too. Is this the Justice Department thing? Oh, this is what I love. Watch this stuff. I can do this all day, guys. Really.
On anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world?
Absolutely never. In any context.
It's funny, they say masseuses, right? Guys, Robert Kraft, caught with masseuses. Robert Kraft, once on the board of directors with Apollo Global Management. Your boy, Adam Aaron, we all know what he likes. He likes Russian ballerinas and however it may be done. Who knows about Russian ballerinas? Epstein. And delivering them and not with your boy Leon Black. Leon Black had a masseuse. He had a model, a Russian model. He had it all. He's had all the partnerships. Leon Black actually ran Apollo. Guess who was there too? Adam Aaron. All of this, Jeffrey Epstein. We know what it is, but it's okay. Someone's going to come steal this DD tomorrow. But I'm going to remind you, Donald Trump can play in the same room with all these boys. He can. But they're saving each other. The rich are saving the rich. And you can be on your spiritual mission. I don't care about any of that right now. What I'm telling you is this. If you're in the United States government and you're covering for these guys, you deserve everything that comes to you. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not even going to go so deep into it to accusing people of trafficking or whatever they're doing. Nope. I don't know. I don't have proof of any of that. All I know is Jeffrey Epstein didn't do this shit with $0. It's impossible to live this lifestyle of hustling and bustling and not have money. And the one guy who gave him money is the one guy that's walking free right now because he bought his freedom. Go Google it. Leon Black buys freedom. Millions and millions and millions. People, $67 million is a lot of money to pay to the Virgin Islands just so they don't prosecute you for your crimes. Additionally, $170 million to Jeffrey Epstein for tax-related services and estate planning. That's a lot of money. And all you are is the money, right? Why are you paying all of this money? A king's ransom. I wonder. The company goes under. People accuse you of everything. But none of that happens. You just get to walk away and form another company. And everyone's doing business with it. And your son gets pointed to the government, to a role by Donald Trump. Just, hey, I got you. Don't worry about it, Leon. We won't say a word. Do you know who was in Russia with Donald Trump in 96? Leon Black. Do you know who was in Russia with Trump in 2017? Leon Black. There's a lot more to this whole story. But you know what? No one's asking the right questions. They're always asking about Trump. They're always asking about who did what with children and who's on the island. Nobody gives a fuck. You show me Leon Black. He's not on the list. He's not even talked about. They bought the silence. That's the truth.